Let's see. All right, this thing should be live. Let me just move some stuff around. Let's make sure everything is working. Let me just... All right. That seems... Everything seems all right. Just gotta make sure I can see stuff to moderate if I have to. And greetings, Morgan. Always good to see you. It's been a minute, right? Honestly, this is just going to sound weird. This is just going to be like system stuff. But I had considered whether I wanted to like keep doing streams and like making this type of content at all. And last week I was thinking like I might just be done like streaming entirely. But after like thinking about it, like we can't step away. Like we can't stop doing this just because uh members of our system are going to step in and make streams whether we want to or not, and it would just end up causing much more problems with like our general stability if we end up fighting with each other on the things that we should be doing. So we were like, okay, fine, we'll go ahead and keep doing the streams and make time for it, even though like obviously like I need a lot of time to write books and that sort of thing. Just kind of the just kind of like one of the weird quirks of being a system. You actually like have to share time with other people. It can be kind of like frustrating sometimes, where you're like, oh, do I how do I accomplish my goals when like other people are essentially like using your body like a timeshare or something, where it's like, oh, they get so much time to do what they want and you get so much time that you want. But if you want functional multiplicity, I'm gonna keep playing with this. I don't know why it keeps bothering me where the mic is, but we've got a lot to talk about today. First of all, I published a novel. Finally, got it done. So I'm gonna do like I'm gonna kind of cut a promo for that, because I've needed to make a video on it, and I've been busy and also not really like I've been sick for a while. Wasn't really feeling a lot up for doing much of anything. So maybe I'll go ahead and like get the promo done and get that out of the way just so that uh you know I can make a video on it and at least let people know that the that my book was published and that it actually exists, right? So I'm just gonna do that real quick and try and get that out of the way. That way, as we continue with the stream, we can go ahead and actually get to some other stuff. Um, there's a few things I want to talk about. I might need to write some of this down just so that I don't forget about it. I wanted to do that ahead of time, but I just ended up running out of time today, honestly. But I want to talk about like identity and kind of like what I was opening up the stream discussing a little bit. But I'll get to that in a minute. So first, I'm going to do the ad for my book. Let's see if I can get it in one go. Y'all can watch me in real time try and film something, right? And then we'll get over to opening up some discussions on one of the videos that I released recently that a lot of people had a lot of thoughts about. And there was one commenter in particularly that I noticed their comment, and at first I was like, I'm just going to like let this go. I'm not going to bother like debating in my comments with this because like I'd had enough people responding. I'd already put a comment that said, hey, this is going to be my final comment on the subject. But it caught my attention, and like it got started. Like I've been thinking a lot recently of a couple different points that I want to bring up because I was like, you know what, I'm just going to save it for stream. And welcome, Shane. If I go quiet for a second, or you see me like if I'm muted and I'm just sitting here, it's because I have to cough, and I'm going to turn down the mic so I'm not coughing into the mic and blasting all. That's what's going on. I'll try and pick my hand up so you know what I'm doing. Like this. Like that. So you know that I'm coughing. All right. So let's just try and get through the first part. Uh See how well I can do this, right? I wrote a novel. I did. I wrote a novel and I published it. My name is Zoe Vex, but my pen name is Aaron Margot. I made the pen name to keep my writing stuff separate from my politics, so that if you wanted to just follow my writing and you just want to see the novels that I wrote and you enjoy that sort of thing, you're looking for very queer LGBT plus representation in heroic fantasy, then I wrote a book called Crown of Crows. It is available currently right now as an ebook on Amazon. If you search Crown of Crows and Aaron Margot, you will find my novel. I think it is an absolutely excellent book. I've spent years working on it. I've had so much fun writing it. I love the characters in it. And if you're looking for like sword and sorcery, a book that has like dragons in it, a book that has lots of warfare and like kind of like medieval combat in it with a, I would say, a pretty intricate and hopefully fairly unique feeling magic system, I think you should pick it up and give it a try. On Kindle, I know it's a little over 700 pages. Next month in March, I will release the paperback version of it and the hardcover if you're interested. But there's lots of stuff to love in this story. There's a trans main character. There's a sentient magic item that ends up causing all sorts of catastrophe across this land. And there's a group of heroes that are essentially forced together because of what's going on in their homeland. And they band together to try to solve what's going on, with each of them having their own unique motivations for their character arcs. Each one of them is their own unique person. And I try to focus a lot on relationship dynamics between each person, because I wanted to really bring this world to life and give you a group of people that you can follow that hopefully you find as entertaining as I did in writing it. And if you know someone or you yourself are looking for a fantasy story to read, then go ahead and pick up Crown of Crows. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Uh, let's see. Shane asks, do I think being poly and a system are similar in some ways? Oh, well, I mean, you know, you don't have to watch it from the start to catch up, because like I was only talking a little bit, you know, about some of the frustrations that we had in like deciding like, oh, we should stop streaming and only focus on our writing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're going to end up starting to destabilize again and have more problems. If I want to keep writing and not have my time essentially like taken, then I have to agree to share time and go ahead and do streams and make videos. Not that I don't like doing videos or doing streams. I really like it. It's just, it ends up like there's so much time commitments between this and then also writing books that's like, it feels like almost overwhelming, especially because most writers only release like one video a week. And I'm doing like streams 3 times a week, multiple hours a day, and I'm trying to produce videos in the meantime. And yeah, I can clip some of the stuff out of streams and make videos about it, like the Don Lemon stuff that I talked about. But a lot of people just didn't really seem to be interested in the Don Lemon video. And then when I produced a video on why do people bring up intersex conditions, that had like 600 plus views on it. But to answer your question directly, do I think that being poly and being a system are similar in some ways? Kind of. Like, I mean, if you want to just make it analogous, you could say it's analogous in the sense that like I have to, you know, keep in mind of like multiple personalities of the people that I'm dealing with. I have to keep in mind of like the things that they like, the things that they don't like. Like, there's aspects of like sharing time and doing activities together and polyamorous structure. So yeah, you could say something like that. But you could say it's analogous to like, it's also analogous to like a friend group or family, right? Like there's dynamics where like you might hang out with some friends, but then at other times you're not with those friends all the time. sometimes you're with some family members, and then sometimes you're not with those other family members, right? And you might value different aspects of the relationship where you're like, oh, I really love my mom because she's loving and supportive and is always there to listen to me. And you say, but I really love my dad because he's, always has suggestions for me, or he tells me things like you can always come home and stay in his house and you're always going to be safe with him, right? So like that's right. Or you have friends that some friends might like to go out and do things and you're like, oh, these are my bowling friends. But then other friends might like to go out in nature and you're like, when I want to go hiking, I go over here. And there might be some people where you're like, yeah, this is my number one my number one girl, like I just go over there and we hang out and watch movies and bake cookies together or something. And we have a nice relaxing a nice afternoon just hanging out, having girl time, just relaxing. In that sense, I would say that I get along pretty well with most of my other system. Like at least I do. Like I feel like I'm decently close to most of them. There are some of them that like I don't really communicate with that well, but there's underlying reasons for that. I've been reading this book called the Haunted Self, and it's basically it's like a clinician's guide for going over like DID stuff and explaining like how DID forms and basically it's addressing the theory of structural dissociation, which is kind of like what I've got going on. And I've learned some things like, what I've got going on is called tertiary dissociation. So that's kind of cool. There's also Valentine's Day, right? Came and went. I hope you all had a happy Valentine's. We had a decent one, even though our household has just dealt with a lot of sickness. And I got a cute little tigress. Look how adorable that is, right? I think it's so cute. One of our personas is is a tigress. I thought it was cute, but let's go ahead and switch gears for a second because I did my little ad. We've had a prelude going into things, so I want to talk with y'all. I know I've done a lot of politics and stuff recently, and there will be politics in the stream, but it's not going to be like Trump focused and let's talk about ICE and everything else. I will still cover that stuff. I'm just trying to make sure I do more of a variety of things. I don't want my streams to turn into this is the ICE stream or this is the Donald Trump watch type of thing. I feel like that dude takes up enough time in our headlines and everything else. We can talk about other things. The thing I'll say about Trump is his approval rating has fallen down below 34%. Lol, no one likes this guy. Everyone hates him. Rightly so. But I had touched on something a minute ago that I did want to talk about. And that was the intersex video that I posted. Because I got a lot of comments on it. It has over 600 views or something like that. Which for me, I mean, a channel my size, 600 views, that's three times the size of my entire audience. Right? That's pretty good for it. Yeah, Kyle. I thought, 600 views is decent, I'm not saying I'm not trying to say it's nothing, because I've had plenty of videos that get 30 views or whatever. But there's a lot of thoughts that I have about this and kind of going forward in video making, because obviously I could make more videos like this if I just wanted to attract attention, because you pick a contentious subject, then you weigh in on it. And I've been thinking a lot about this over the last several days. So these are some of my thoughts. I'm going to give some initial reaction to some of the things that people have commented on the video, some of their concerns about what I'm doing and what my purpose is. And then I'm also going to talk just in general, kind of about my thoughts on the idea of clout chasing and this type of thing. Because even with a channel as small as I am, someone is responding to me oh, I'm going to make a video response to this. And I'm like, really? Then I go and I check their channel and they've got 30 subscribers, 40 subscribers. And I'm like, your channel is smaller than mine. Why are you then most of this person's content is all very low effort response content clipping channels. And then it just so happens that so many of the videos that he's responding to, when he's like, I'm not anti-trans, they're most like half his fucking video catalog of his like 22 videos is anti-trans stuff as a skeptic. So let's just address first and foremost what was going on with the why do trans people bring up intersex people, right? Why did I make that video in the first place? I want to specify for anyone who had concerns about it. The reason I brought up the video, and I stated, I thought I made it clear in the video, I used that video to address one singular argument from the gender critical side. One singular argument that I hear from TERFs. And it was essentially a modus ponens structure that they use, where they will say, if X, then P, X, therefore P. All they're saying is, if XX chromosomes, then vagina. XX chromosomes, vagina. That's all they're saying, right? They're saying logically, if X, then P, X, oh, there must be P. Therefore, that's all they're saying. And that video was supposed to be addressing any type of essentialist condition that they were baking in, because it's not the case that just because somebody has XX chromosomes that they automatically have a vagina. They might have a penis. That's just true. Now, that's all I was pointing out, addressing one argument. Now, some people were like, oh, but Zoe, aren't you afraid that by mentioning this, you are dragging intersex people into the crossfire? And my answer to that is no. They are already in the crossfire. They either don't realize it, or the person making the comment to me doesn't realize that. And I'll explain it and offer some evidence for this very easily. Because if it were true that I'm the only reason and people like me are the only reason why intersex people get dragged into these conversations and they just want to live their lives, and we're using them as human meat shields, as some of the most moralizing, like some of the most moralizing people said to me as what their opinion was about that video. So let me explain something to you. If that's true, and they would only be targeted because I would bring it up, and they would be left alone entirely if it wasn't for me saying like, hey, your argument is invalid because we understand that there are people who exist who have a condition that would invalidate your argument. Then explain to me, why is it that when TERFs or gender critical people do end up finding someone who is intersex, they immediately attack them and relentlessly go after them, all right? I'm thinking case in point of Amain Khalif, all right? Amain Khalif was born and raised as a woman and lived her entire life as a woman. And then once she was at a professional sports league, right? She's like competing at like an Olympic level. Then all of a sudden, there's some accusation that some genetic test that she has came back and says that she has like XY chromosomes or something like that. Now, I'm not here to say whether that's true or not. Honestly, it doesn't matter for the purposes of my argument, because we already see the reaction of the gender critical people and the TERF brigades who are acting as if this is true, right? So it doesn't matter factually, is it true or not? They are already acting as if it is. They are demanding that Khalif not be allowed to compete. They've called on people not to watch or to boycott. They've applauded, cis women that essentially refused to box Khalif. And this would be a person who is not a trans woman. Khalif does not identify as transgender, has never been transgender in her life, and these people discover that she might have some intersex condition, and all of a sudden they are attacking her relentlessly as if she were a trans person. So I'm telling you right now, if you think that, well, intersex people would be completely left alone if it wasn't for trans people, and you trans rights activists are trying to pull us into the target, they are already being hit by this stuff. All right? If you are not aware of that, that is a you problem. If you're an intersex person and you weren't aware that when these people become aware of folks with intersex conditions, they will often turn on them and immediately start relentlessly attacking them, that's a you issue, all right? These people need support just like trans people need support. Intersex rights matter as well. And there's all sorts of medical garbage that's been done to them historically, like doing surgeries on them without their consent as a child in order to fix something on their body that they may or may not have wanted done when they got older. To say that I'm using them as a human meat shield by pointing out the flaw in a logical argument is ridiculous. That'd be like somebody saying, oh, there are only cis women. Cis women are the only women that exist. And then somebody else says, yeah, but what about, trans women? There's a group of women that are trans women that are not cis. And then all of a sudden I pop up in your comments. I'm just like, oh my God, trans women would have been left alone entirely if you didn't mention trans women. When these people in their initial point in saying that only cis women exist, they were already trying to target trans people. They just did not spell it out for you. It's like a lie by omission. All right. Right now, they understand, the gender critical and TERFs, that the best shot they have at curtailing the rights of trans people and to go after our humanity is to keep framing it as if it's us versus cis women. It's trans rights versus women's rights. And if you have bought into that, if you're a gender critical type or you are a I'm defending women type, you've already failed. Like, you've already failed in skepticism and you've already fallen for this propaganda. It is, women's rights would include the rights of trans women. Trans women rights would also be part of the set. There's a superset of women's rights, and then there's a subset within there that is trans women's rights. These are all interconnected. It would just be like if you, and once again, if you use any analogy or any comparison, they're going to say, oh, you need to stop using these analogies. You need to stop comparing one group to another group. All right, our side is the one that is approaching this from an intersectional stance. All right, we are the ones that will advocate for the rights of all women. We are the ones that are going to say that men that abuse women should be held accountable, that women who abuse women should be held accountable, and that we also acknowledge that there might be like indigenous concerns. There might be concerns that people of color have. There are women within all sorts of and walks of life. There's concerns that older women might have that don't affect younger women. And we will acknowledge all of these things need to be taken into consideration. It's the other side that is trying to boil everything down to, oh, there's only women's rights. But then whenever you're like, well, wait a minute, if y'all care about women's rights, why are y'all aligning yourself with people that oppose abortion, that oppose women's access to healthcare? Why are y'all doing that? Why are y'all cozying up to Nazis just because they also dislike trans people, when if they had their way, your rights would be curtailed too, immediately? It's genuinely disappointing and frustrating. And like, I can sit here on my side and I can try to approach these subjects as ethically as possible. I can like take a lot of time to think about what I'm going to say, and I worry, because I have empathy in how I'm going to impact people with the content that I produce. I have to worry about that every time I release a video. So then when someone shows up and they say, oh, well, you're just harming these people. I'm like, by pointing out that they exist, right? Acknowledging their existence and saying that, yeah, there's concerns for these people. They might also end up being harmed by the same policies to target trans people. All right. If Khalif is not allowed to box, if Khalif is not allowed to compete, then that would be an intersex person that got harmed because of anti-trans rhetoric. I don't know why this would be difficult for people to understand. The same policies that they would use to target trans people with, they would use to justify attacking intersex people. And I remember there was a conversation I had. I'll never forget this. I was having a conversation because this highlights this exact thing. I was having a conversation with like, it was like 4 gender critical like TERF types. I was debating doing a 1v4, and one by one, they were giving me arguments and we were responding to them. And then eventually, one of them brought up biology and intersex conditions got brought up. And I was just like, okay, well, you understand that like when you start invoking intersex conditions, there are going to be some people that your side among TERFs that some of you are going to acknowledge are women, while some of you would deny that they were women. Guess what happened? One of the TERFs in there had an intersex friend, and she brought that up as an argument to me that like, oh, TERFs have no problem with intersex people. I have an intersex friend, and I recognize that this person has been a woman her entire life, and she was just born with a condition she can't control, a DSD, all right? And can you predict what happened with the other TERFs in the room? They started attacking that TERF and really going at her for allowing this person who they claim was not a real woman to be a woman, and then said that she was bringing a predator into their spaces if she brought her intersex friend around other cis women without telling them that their friend had this intersex condition that would make them actually not a woman, because they weren't 100% a woman, whatever the fuck that means. So like, no, identity is very complicated. And a lot of the issues with this, whether it's biological, sociological, you know, your identity in and of itself, there's a lot of nuance here, and there's going to be like a lot of spectrums to this. And this is something that I find very odd to me, is that whenever I encounter someone who claims that they are an atheist and that they are a skeptic, and yet they have such absolutist beliefs when it comes to sex, like there is only male and female, and it's a binary, as if it's not a bimodal spectrum, it's a binary. And then you end up having to walk through and explain to them why it's not a binary. And I'm like, why am I having to explain this to you if you're a skeptic, right? If you're a skeptic, shouldn't you be like very critical of absolutist positions, especially when it comes to reality? All right. I'm not talking about a tautology. I'm not talking about logic where something analytically you could just define it as true. All right. Something like that you could say is just definitionally true. We're talking about the existence of real people here. People are not arguments. There's no defeater to make trans people disappear. That's something that you would have to physically do to us, and that regimes around the world have been doing for centuries. All right, we know what y'all have done to people like us. We know where these policies lead to. We can look back in our own country and say, what was life like for LGBT people in the 50s? Where we were outed at work and they'd put it in the newspapers, and then we would get fired from our jobs. We know what you did to people like us in the 20s, when the Jews were rescued from concentration camps in the Holocaust. And then when they found the prisoners that had the pink triangles on them that the Nazis had arrested them for, the government of Germany put those people from concentration camps into prisons for being LGBT. We know that they targeted Magnus Hirschfeld's Institution for Sexology. We know that that very first big Nazi book burning that all the infamous pictures of was them burning research done on trans people. And for those of you that are insipid enough to say that that's not true, and we don't know that for sure, in case you're having an elderly senile moment, like you're having what I would like to think of as a J.K. Rowling mold moment, okay? You can just look and see what Magnus Hirschfeld did after the institute was burned down. He continued his work. He continued traveling, and he continued talking about this. He continued talking about meeting gender nonconforming people from around the world. In America and Chicago is how he first got the idea to do this research. And if you keep going back through history, what you will find is over and over and over again, trans people have always existed in every culture across the planet. And then you have some dipshit like Mount Walsh will show up and be like, oh, I'm going to go ask some person in Africa if what he thinks of trans people, as if he's ever heard of this. And if he can't give me an answer on it, it must mean that trans people are not valid. Ha ha ha. And it's like, Africa had their own gender nonconforming expression among tribal people, right? Somebody brought up to me in an argument, they were like, oh, well, if trans people have always existed and this has always been a thing, how come you don't see this in the Middle East? And I was like, the Middle East? And he was like, yeah, like a country like Saudi Arabia. What do you think would happen to people that might identify this way? And if it is so harsh, all of a sudden, they just don't identify this way. And I'm like, first of all you're saying is these people aren't detectable. They're just still among the population, but you don't know who they are. That's just first and foremost easily true. Just like there's always been the same percentage of the population probably has roughly been LGBT. And now we end up seeing more and more people coming out as LGBT recently, not because it's a social contagion, but because people are free. They're allowed to express themselves. I don't know why that's so hard for people to realize. It's the left-handed problem, where you end up trying to beat left-handedness out of people for a very long time. And then all of a sudden, once we stopped that practice and we started allowing people who were left-handed to simply be left-handed, there was a big spike in the amount of people that were left-handed, but then it leveled out. And you'll see the same thing with LGBT people. And it's funny because, like, I know someone who's left-handed, and then like nearly every single one of their siblings are also all left-handed. And it's like, okay, do you expect me to believe that that's just a social contagion? Not all their siblings. A couple of them are right-handed. It just would be a weird thing to say like this is a social issue, right? Sorry. And you're right, Kyle. None of that is anyone's business as far as like intersex people, trans people, any of it. I just get so frustrated with it entirely. Let me collect my thoughts for a second. Oh yeah, this is something else that I wanted to address. People will say that if I advocate for trans issues and I advocate for LGBTQ issues, then that makes me a trans rights activist or a TRA. And they will say this in order to dismiss me. Now, historically, I've been like, I mean, to some extent, if you want to call me a TRA, that's probably true. I do advocate for trans rights. That is true. But on the other hand, I notice that people that are activists against trans rights or actively argue against trans rights all the time, they don't consider themselves anti-TRA. And if anyone calls me a TRA, I'm just going to say, if you are doing that as an attack against me or an attack against trans rights, you are an anti-TRA. You are also an activist. You are just an anti-trans activist. If me speaking on behalf of trans issues and advocating for our civil rights, if that makes me a TRA, even though y'all will simultaneously say just talking online and like advocating for stuff online makes you a slacktivist, which is basically doing nothing. But yet, if I speak on trans issues on behalf of it, oh no, I'm definitely an activist then. All right, then the same goes for you. Then you are an anti-trans activist. If you want to slap the label of activist on me because you're trying to just dismiss what I'm saying without actually having to grapple with it or address it, you don't have something to argue against me, so you just say, oh, well, she's a trans rights activist. You can't trust her. She's an activist. It's as if like, because being an activist for something means that you would automatically be wrong on that subject. That's not true. That is ridiculous reasoning. That's literally like Bulverism. Oh, because of who you are, I know that you must be wrong for what you said. You're a trans person, so you must be wrong on this issue. It's just stupid. Sorry, I do have content to actually react to. I just wanted to address some of this stuff, get some of these feelings off my chest, because I've been very frustrated with this. I hate the double standard that, like, oh, well, nothing that Zoe says is trustworthy because she's a TRA. But then looking at people like J.K. Rowling, who has vowed to put like billions of dollars into like litigation against us in order to like fund endless lawsuits against, you know, organizations that support trans people. That's not an anti-trans activist. That doesn't count as anti-trans activism. But me just speaking on behalf of like, hey, we should have the same human rights that everyone else does. Hey, it's kind of fucked up that y'all are saying that Khalif is not able to compete. If she were to be intersex, that's messed up. Why are you saying she can't compete just because she's intersex? Especially if she's, you know, testing within ranges of everything else. It's not like she has like some absurd amount of testosterone or she has some like obvious advantages over like other people. That's just not the case. No, I agree, Shane, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Look, I saved it for the stream because like I was getting more and more agitated. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk about this on stream because like, you know, maybe this is like a little bit of therapy or whatever, or like, you know, what do y'all think of this? That's part of why to do a stream instead of just publishing it as a video. Like, yeah, people comment on videos, but usually they just, you know, the comment is just something like a good video or whatever, which I appreciate, but it's not like normally engaging with whatever the topic is. Like, I don't often get the thoughts of people unless they just have some bone to pick with me. As far as like, what do they actually think about what we're talking about? I don't know. It just gets so frustrating to endlessly be dismissed and stuff. Not only because, like, oh, well, you're a woman, so I shouldn't have to listen to you. Oh, you're trans, so I shouldn't have to listen to you. Oh, you're an activist, so I shouldn't have to listen to you. Meanwhile, they go and listen to people all the time who, like, if just speaking out about something and advocating for something makes you an activist on it. Like, does Joe Rogan, is he like a billionaire activist? Is he the Epstein class activist and all the people following him? And we're going to get to this, by the way. There's a, oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, intersex Captain America super soldier. 100%. Like, remember when they were like, oh, if you're a trans woman, it has to be banned from darts because, you know, you've got like superhuman man dart skills. Like, what? I will say I got into an argument. Oh, it was really an argument. I was just poking fun at some TERFs a little bit on Twitter. And I am getting like chain blocked by a bunch of them. They got really upset at something I said to them. I'll just tell you all this because I thought it was kind of funny, right? So I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Tickle versus Giggle case in like Australia. And the person that, like, it was Giggle, this woman made an app that was going to be like, oh, for cis women only. And you have to get your face scanned. That turns out that like a lot of trans women scan their faces and they could get into the app because, you know, the app was like, oh, read them as women. Yeah, she was big mad on Twitter, and she was like, oh, if we end up like let's just see the argument, and let's say, what if we do allow trans women to be identified as women? We would still need a word for that means adult human female. And I responded to her and I was like, notice that the word female is not the same word as woman. So then she tried to argue back, like, they're literally synonymous. They mean the exact same thing. And I was just like, no. They are literally, woman and female are literally different words. And you asked for a different word other than woman by her own standards. Oh, she blocked me. I then like an entire set, like 20 or 25 TERFs after that, all sent some snide comment, and then they would block me too. And I was just like, I'm not, like, I don't care that y'all are blocking me. My timeline actually is like getting refreshed. It's like a spring breeze blew in and blew away all the like disgusting stench coming from the TERFs. You know what I mean? The more of them that block me, the better my timeline gets. I'm like, wow, like if my timeline had an IQ, it would go up every time these TERFs block me. Like each one that blocks me, it's like ding, ding. It's like my timeline is getting smarter, you know? IQ's bullshit, I know. It's just a meme. Don't chill out, relax. I know. IQ's bad. You don't have to type to me. You don't have to say anything. I know. It's a dumb standard. It's fake. It's bullshit. It's just a meme. I'm just having some fun. Right? I just thought it was funny. It's like, if only we had another word besides woman that would capture the concept of adult human female. And I'm just like, you mean female? Like, aren't y'all are always obsessed with this? Like, y'all already have a different word for this. Why are you freaking out so much? Oh no, that was enough for them to block us. Like, okay, fine, block me. I don't care. It's fun. There was so I want to talk about this real quick because I forgot about this. One of the guys responded in the comments on my intersex video, and he was like, "I'm going to make a video responding to you." And I was just like, okay, good. I mean, just remember, I'm addressing one argument. So like, if you're going to make a video response and you're like, I'm going to address 25 different points that Zoe didn't address. Okay, you're going to look really dumb because I was only addressing one argument. My video was a response to an argument. So I'm like, this is why this argument doesn't work. So if you're going to make a video response to me and you're going to try to label off like 20 things that you think that I didn't cover or I got wrong or whatever else, you're just going to look foolish. And this dude, I'm not even kidding. I went to his channel. He's got like 30 followers, all right? He's more of a nobody than I am. If you're watching this video right now, if you're watching the stream, God bless you, okay? Apparently the algorithm is doing something. Even though I have like barely over 200 followers, right? Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. All right, hit that like button, right? Maybe it'll get shared out to other people, but I appreciate you. If no one else has told you today, okay, you're awesome. Thank you for being here. But this guy, like half his content is nothing but video responses like to trans people. And it's very low effort stuff. I mean, he's like clipping the Line network, the transatlantic call-in. He's clipping like Jovan Bradley, and he's like, Jovan Bradley runs from me again. And I'm just like, dude, who do you think you are? Jovan Bradley has thousands and thousands of subscribers, right? Do you think that he even sees your comment when you're commenting on a video or whatever? He's like, I sent him emails and he hasn't responded to me, but don't worry, I'm going to reach out to Modern Day Debates and set up like a debate or whatever. And I'm like, who's going to debate you? You are a no one right now. Just so you know, because I know this too as a small streamer, you have to make content for a while, be consistent in order for people, one, to want to follow you or to give a damn about what you have to say, right? You got to be at least entertaining somewhat. If you're just like making videos, this is my response video to Jovan Bradley. I think that Jovan Bradley just isn't very smart and he just runs from me all the time. Like, dude, you don't sound entertaining at all, right? When Modern Day Debates goes and sets up debates when they're scraping the bottom of the barrel and they're like, hey, this guy has 20 subscribers, get him on here, okay? Those debates were terrible, terrible, because you're not posting debate content. You're posting reviews where you have all the time in the world to say, let me tell you something, all right? Let me explain to you why this is so like frustrating whenever I see somebody who's this egotistical talking about this stuff, okay? If you think debating people on live stream, like you could jump in my goddamn Discord right now, any one of you that want to debate me at any point in time, you could jump in my Discord, all right? I will pull you on and we can debate at any time. If you think it's as easy as making a response video, you're out of your goddamn mind, all right? In a response video, you have all the time in the world to think about every single thing you want to say to them. You have all the time in the world to Google every single word they said that you may not have understood. Every single concept they bring up, you can Google it, you can think about it, you can write it down, and then you can make your video like dunking on, Jovan Bradley or whatever the fucking video you're going to make. Dunking on RN Raw, all right? I hope you understand. Genuinely, and take this to heart because I'm going to save you a lot of embarrassment, okay? You need to understand that debating is an entirely different skill set than doing research and presentation. You are just presenting things that you have researched. That's all you've done. when you're debunking something like this, when you're doing a debunking video. You're like, I read up on this and I think that you misrepresented something, so here's why you're wrong. That is a different skill set entirely than debating. If you want someone like Jovan Bradley to take you serious, you need to be posting debates to your channel, like showing where you in real time, live action, debated people. Now, one of the reasons why I will let you join my stream whenever you want to and come on and debate. I don't care who it is. I don't care. I'll debate you. If it's on trans issues or areas where I actually feel like I have some knowledge on. And the reason for that is because I have done hundreds upon hundreds of debates. All right? Are they filmed? No. Did I put them on my channel? No. Because I wasn't like, oh my God, I just want to like go around and essentially like present myself as some debater or some edgelord. Like that's not what my goal was. Maybe I will start recording debates and put debates on here. I've done a debate before that was recorded, and I ended up trusting the other person to like, hey, they'll record the thing. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll send you the video, whatever. And I tried to approach it in good faith and everything else. And I got burned on that. So no, now if you want to debate me, you have to come onto my stream. I'm not going to your stream. I'm not going to your Discord. If you want to talk to me, you can come over here and you can talk to me. That's it. But I will absolutely debate whoever wants to talk about it. Easy. And if you think for 2 seconds that this will be just like you doing a response video where, oh, you could have all the time in the world to think, and you have all the time in the world to Google stuff, not in a debate. You better be ready to go like immediately, because I'm not going to sit here with a bunch of just dead air listening to your brain fucking, you know, burn up while you're trying to think of responses or something. Because like, I guarantee you, you are not equipped to handle a debate if you are not accustomed to that format. You can be very intelligent, very well-spoken, very eloquent. You can be a popular video essayist. And you know why you don't see a lot of popular video essayists also engaging in like live debate content? Because it's an entirely different skill set. It's a whole different animal. All right, I'm just going to look at some of the comments real quick. Sorry for the ranting there. I was just, I genuinely, I don't understand the ego on some people, as if like a popular internet debater who debates all the time, and you could call into his show, all right, either his own stream, or you could call into like when he's on the line. You could call into all that stuff. And this guy's like, I'm not going to call into any of that. We have to do it on modern day debates. Why? All right, so let's just look. So we got Shane. What do you say? Also on call, he's on call-in shows and accepts call-in debaters on his own channel, saying he won't debate you when you won't pick up the phone. Oh, 100%. Like, if you won't even bother to call, like, if I called into his show, I could record it using the same equipment that you're watching me on right now. I could call in, record it, and then if he kept muting me or dropped me or whatever, I could make my own segment responding to him, like, look, look how, you know, cowardly he is, or he had to mute me for this, that, and the other. Grumble Gene says, yay, now truth is whatever we want it to be. You're mean and bad if you don't like what I say. All right. I don't know why you would say something like that, right? Unless you're like, you're not, you get that people have their own ideas of what truth is, right? Do you want to come on and talk to me? Like, and this is what I'm talking about. There are so many people that want to like sit in comment sections and type all their little like, you know, oh, truth just means whatever you want it to be or whatever. And they don't want to, but you know, you invite them like, hey, I'll post a link. Join my Discord. Come on and chat with me. I try to be nicer to people and let them just hang out. And as long as you're chill, it's fine. Grumble, if you want to talk to me, I'm not going to just debate comments, right? I've got other stuff to do. And I'm not going to just make everyone in my comment section listen to you just saying silly things, right? Your choice is, if you continue to post like this, you can either stay and just enjoy the stream. I'm fine. If you want to just stay and chill, and you can be chill, then that's fine. if you keep posting stuff like this and you are insinuating things about me because I'm trans, right? You're going to have two options. One option is going to be to join my Discord and come talk to me. Your other option is going to be getting removed. You can just leave if you want to, or I'll ban you. But you're not going to stay in my comments and just keep spamming nonsense at me that you're not going to defend or justify. And we might have somebody like, hey, in real time, we can watch exactly what we were just talking about. Because, like, I'm telling you, there are so many times I just get tired of people doing this. It's like, oh, I could debate anything. There's the Discord link. Jump in Discord, and I'll pull you into this. You might have to get a role, so when you join there, make sure you click the roles at the top. And then I'll pull you into here. I posted the link. You'll have a couple of moments to join. Give you a couple minutes. Otherwise, I'm just going to ban you and move on. So while this person is deciding if they can grow a spine and they want to come on in and talk to me, I'm going to just, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like this, like, is that guy who's like, oh, I'm just going to talk garbage from your comment section. Say that, you know, you have the opportunity to join, will not join. You have the opportunity to have a conversation, will not have a conversation because they're actually too cowardly to talk to you. Instead, they want to hide behind their anonymity, keep their face off the camera, name themselves some vague things, and then, oh, I'm just going to sit here and like snipe at you instead of taking the opportunity to actually have the conversation. Now I'm going to ask, because who knows, maybe this person is actually like old. Do you need help using Discord? Do you need help getting on Discord? Do you know how to use Discord? Do you know how to like click a link and follow the instructions? Can you read? Because if you can't do those things, like, we could probably help you out, you know? Someone could be like, hey, click the link, and then do you have to create a Discord account? Like, what's going on with you? Why are you doing this? I'm just curious. And, you know, this is like, what, the third time this has happened now, where someone will start talking shit in the chat, and then I give them the opportunity to come on here and actually talk with me. And they're scared. I want to, you know, watch the very same person's like, I'm going to make videos responding to you. And it's like, Jovan Bradley ducks me. RN Rod ducks me. I'm like, I'm sitting right here. I'll be here for hours if you want to have a conversation. And I told him in a response to his comment, I was like, message me or join my Discord and I'll have you on. And we can have a conversation. You're so desperate to talk to RN Raw or Jovan Bradley, right? But imagine if you are scared to talk to me just because, like, whatever, a few hundred people might watch the video later on. Yeah, all right. If you're not going to join the Discord, then I'm going to ban you. I'll give you 2 more minutes. But while he's deciding if he wants to get banned or not, I'm going to go ahead and talk about identity a little bit. And just one of the things that, like, annoys me a lot is whenever you end up dealing with transphobes, they want to say something like, how can you know what it's like to be a woman if you are not born a woman? Even though no one is born a woman, you're born a baby. they'll just say stuff like this. And they'll insinuate that, oh, you cannot possibly have the psychological makeup of like the gender that you identify with unless you have this essential characteristic that's like innately born into you. All right. It is, your time is up. You have not joined the Discord. You've not asked how to get in the Discord. You've said nothing else. When I ban you, it will remove every single thing that you have you've put on the server or in the chat. So, goodbye. I'll see you in 24 hours. Just not... If you want to have a conversation with me, if you want to like get in my chat and start typing at me, right? There are only like a handful of people that are ever on the stream at any one point in time. So I've got the time to take out to talk with you and address you specifically. You know, if you're not a bot and you want to have a conversation, then just follow the instructions and we can have a conversation. I don't understand why all these people have so much to say in the comments, but then they want to duck you when it comes to actually like growing a spine and logging on. And of course, the link is still there if anyone else wants to join the Discord and you want to come talk with me on trans issues. But whenever they ask about like identity states, and the issue is identity states are literally sets of beliefs and propositions that you believe about yourself. No one else can determine what you believe about yourself for you. We can look at things that people are doing and we could speculate. Like I am convinced that this person has some other series of beliefs, or they don't. Or you listen to what the person reports to you. They say, oh, I think X, Y, and Z. So if somebody says, for instance, if they say, I value science a lot, I really value science, and I think that the scientific method is the best way going forward that we have to explore and discover the world around us. But then they tell you something like they are skeptical about vaccines and that they think that vaccines are linked to autism. And then they end up telling you that they think the earth is flat and that there's a firmament around the earth. But they keep saying that they're a scientist, right? Well, they could still hold the belief that they are a scientist or that they believe and trust science, but it's obvious by the propositions that they're telling you, the other beliefs that they have, that there's scrutiny here, right? That there's reason for doubt here. You don't typically see this within like core identity components to someone. Like if they self-report what their religion is to you, if they self-report what their gender is to you, these are things, those are just two. There's other like cultural and everything else that like people can believe about themselves. And it may or may not be accurate. But when it comes to some of these things are definitely much more immutable than others. And this is who this person is. So whenever it comes to like trans people and we're telling people like what our gender identity is, the only answer when they say, well, how do you know what it's like to be a woman? It's like, because I'm a woman and these are my experiences. Now, if they're like, oh, but, you don't have the experience of like some other woman. Okay. You don't have the experience of the person next to you. Everyone's experiences are fairly unique to themselves. If you want to get philosophical about it, you could say like, well, they have their own qualia. And even if you say, well, they don't have their own qualia, this is where I think people start getting confused and they want to conflate like gender with spiritualism or something like that. So I want to make this very clear because unfortunately, after I had a conversation with Doug some time ago, some very, very stupid members of his audience, just like absolute brainlets, some of the worst faith, least informed people, heard me say your phenomenological experiences, and they actually thought that I meant something spiritual. So whenever you're talking about something like gender and these experiences, these are experiences that you're having via your senses. They're being interpreted by your brain. These are senses of your body. These are proprioception, right? Sight, sound, all right, your sense of balance, all right, your sense of time, what time of day it is, and that sort of thing. All of these things are included in phenomenological experiences, but there are also such things as like psychoform experiences and somatoform experiences. These things are still produced by your brain. Those things are still components of your identity, and all of it is rooted in your biology. So whenever someone comes to me and they say, oh, I hear a word like phenomenological, and I automatically think that you must be talking about something spiritual, that just lets you know how grossly misinformed that person is on this subject. Right. Literally, I saw people commenting that, like, oh, well, your conversation with other Christians has prepared you for this. And I'm like, this is not a religious-based belief. This is not a spiritual-based belief. This is not a belief about souls or anything else. I'm not going to church on Wednesday specifically. Well, I don't know. I might. Ash Wednesday, we don't really do anything with that, like some churches do. But we are not Catholic. And if we do go to church, it would be more of like to do like something, probably like a pagan ritual or something like that. Like I've been exploring and playing around with like paganism, and like I don't know, it's entertaining. I like the idea of having like altars and that sort of thing, like dedications to different deities and goddesses. Like I know, like, you know, people are like, oh my god, that makes you like a theist or something. No, I don't believe that they actually exist or anything. Gods and goddesses. It's just something that's culturally fun to do. It's a fun time to sit around and share experiences with other people. And, you know, part of the human being is going to be like some spiritual component, like whatever you think of on spirituality. No, I do not submit to the Pope. Get out of here. Why would I submit to the will of a man? Whoa, don't worry. He lives in Vatican City. He's got a throne and a little hat, and you know, they claim that he has spiritual powers. No, I don't worship trees. Although I do kind of like revere the universe just in general. I think there's like some majesty to the universe itself. It's pretty beautiful. It's a lot of fun. But what are I want you to answer directly. Are you Catholic? Why are you asking me about Catholic stuff? I didn't say I was a Catholic. I've never said anything remotely leaning Catholic. So why the questions about Catholicism? Nah, see, that would be an altar with an E, Shane. Alter. Yeah. There are a couple of us, but you know, that's our business. I'll tell you privately. You're Catholic and you think that I need to go to church. Why would I need to go to church? What good? I'm sorry. I don't have much interest in children like Catholics do, you know? So why would I need to go to church? It's not a good time for y'all right now. If you notice, people are pretty upset about the Epstein files, and you know, I think they're also upset at the tens of thousands of children that have been laundered through that organization. Remember when y'all had some priests that were making like custom made golden crosses to put on young boys that specifically were vulnerable? All right, that basically they didn't have people that could look out for them, and the priesthood, a group of them, specifically trafficked these kids by putting crosses on them. Right? What do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that the head of the organization, the hierarchy, was moving around these pederast priests so that they could continue assaulting kids at their different dioceses, and they covered it up, all right? I don't think I need to go to that church, right? Why would I need to go to that church? Like, why would you recommend that? I genuinely want to know what is the motivation for recommending that? What do you think I would get out of it? Oh, 100%. I mean, Vatican City, they just like, oh, just move them there and claim immunity, right? As if we don't know this stuff. As if we're unaware, you know? Maybe you're unaware, Jim, but you're going to learn today. And if you want to talk about Catholicism, by the way, would you like a link to my Discord? Would you like to come on and actually talk with me about God? Because, like, I mean, I was just talking about like a little bit of paganism, right? I'm just a silly girl on the internet. What could I possibly know about religion? Maybe you'll come on and you'll win my heart for Christ. Mother Mary loves me. We're all her children. I mean, wasn't are we all her children? That sounds a little incestuous. I don't think we should. I don't think we're all her children. And wasn't there like Adam and Eve? Aren't we Adam and Eve's kids or something? It's just funny. It's been a long time since I've like actually just like really talked with somebody about religion. Who knows? Maybe Bob is gonna come on. Here you go. There's the Discord. Join Discord. You can't join every app. I'm not asking you to download every app. I'm asking you to download one app. And you could just remove it or delete it after we have a conversation. You could be like, you know what? I got on. Think about all the souls you could save, right? I mean, I don't have a giant audience, but I've got like 200 people on here. Sometimes I post videos like that do pretty well. A lot of people might see it. Maybe you haven't seen my other videos talking about God, right? Maybe you haven't watched that, but that's going to be on you. Jim, are you not going to join my Discord? What? Why do all these people want to come on and we should just derail everything and just chat with them the entire time from the chat? Like, it's been a while since I've really been an edgy atheist, but you're kind of bringing out a little bit of that part of me right now. I want you to join my Discord and we can talk about it. Otherwise, if you keep posting religious stuff in my chat, I'm just going to remove you. Right? This is my chat. This is not the Christian chat. This is not a Catholic channel. You came over here talking all this stuff about Catholicism, right? If you want to actually have a conversation about it, you can get on stream and you can talk to me about it. You can click that Discord link. Make a Discord account. You can even call it whatever. Jim's limbs, right? Redeemer for Christ, or whatever you want to call yourself. Right? Find the holy power, okay? Find the Holy Spirit, all right? Ask God to imbue you with the righteous armor of God. Get your shield and your sword, okay? And be prepared under 1 Peter 3:15, okay? Be prepared to give the justification for why I should believe and why you believe in Christ, okay? Oh my God, you are a liar. What does the Bible say about lying? You said you're not a keyboard warrior. You like I should do my thing. You evangelize the chat. That's how this works. That would be you being a keyboard warrior. Liar. Get this idolater like out of my face. Like you're a liar, right? On your face, you shall know them by their fruits. Literal liar. Your Lady of Fatima tried to warn you about those times. Really? What times? Is that the one where the sun was like flying all over the place? Right. Oh, oh, they said they are a keyboard warrior. What a wild thing to say. That's usually used as like an insult. Why would you call yourself a keyboard warrior? Right. That's like genuinely like an insult in online spaces. You're like self-deprecating. There's has there I should have known. It's a Catholic, right? That's definitely like self-deprecation. That's all Catholics are about. Is that all that Catholic guilt and shit? They're like, oh God, I'm such a piece of shit. They like beat themselves, you know? Fucking wild. All right, keyboard warrior. Stick to the subject on the stream. Knock the Catholic crap off. If you're not going to jump in the server, if you're not going to have a conversation with me, knock the Catholic crap off, and you can stay. All right. If you're just going to have a good time, you want to hang out, you can stay. But do not keep posting religious crap in my chat. All right. That's like just polluting it up. We don't need none of that stuff around here. All right. Wild. I had a Catholic jumped in the chat and be like, I'm a keyboard warrior. I'm like, oh my God. Like wild. All right. I'm gonna step away for 1 second to use the bathroom. I'm gonna trust y'all to be good and not to keep posting wild Catholic stuff, all right? And you do not have to keep self-effacing here, all right? We don't know you. We're not judging you. You don't have to call yourself a keyboard warrior, okay? I'll be back. All right. Chat, were you good to each other while I was gone? Was everyone nice to each other? Hear my voice? All right. Just wild. Dunking on Catholics. So funny. I wonder if any of these people actually join the Discord to come talk with me. It's just wild. Like, they are such cowards. But I said we'll move on from it, so I will also be good to my word, and we'll move on. So remember how we were just talking about, like, the Catholic Church, and we were talking about, like, people being, like, weird? Well, good thing for the Catholic, if you're still here with us, Jem, we're going to now do some React content, which I know is what people have been waiting for. Guess what we're going to respond to? You see the name. If y'all haven't seen this, if you are not aware, there's a very large streamer named, well, he makes videos. He might be a streamer too. I don't really follow him that much, but his name is Nuxtaku. And this piece of shit is a giant, like, pedo enabler. All right. He also happens to be religious. So, Jem, you're right here. You're right on time. We're going to cover a religious person being very creepy and weird, and we're going to do a react to Nikandros's video on Nuktaku. Taco. So, if you're wondering why I want to even talk about this in the first place, Nux is one of these people that are continuously, like, he's got like 1 million subscribers. He's continuously going after trans people, especially on like X and that sort of thing, continuously labeling LGBT people as groomers and, you know, child predators and everything else. And then guess what happened? Turns out that Nux is a giant groomer himself. Very much like all the people that accuse LGBT people or trans people of being groomers, and they, you know, insinuate that, you know, we're doing all sorts of unsavory things with leave the kids alone. Asmongold, you know, says that entire group of people, it turns out they're all really good friends with a giant predator and an enabler. Here's the video.
I'm Nikandros. This is Tectone, a guy who used to follow 900 hentai accounts on Twitter. When likes were still public, people found out that Tectone had liked an animation depicting a Genshin Impact character called Venti getting their backdoor blown wide open by a BB Hilichurl C. For context, Venti is an effeminate male character with the body of a 15-year-old boy, so Tectone has a history of it to gay porn involving 15-year-old boys. This is more speculative, but photographic evidence suggests that Tectone lives by the slogan, "He who beats it, eats it." In case you don't know what that means, now, you might be disgusted by this, but given Tectone's physiology, that's actually a very impressive feat.
Is that all?
Disgusting.
Me when I show her my penis, I'm 6'8". I don't know why I would lie about it. My penis isn't that small where I feel the need to lie about my height. But I'm 6'8". I'm 6'8". I'm 6'8". You 6'8". I'm 6'8". 6'7". I'm 6'6". I'm 6'7". I'm 6'7". 6'6" men BMI.
Now, for reference, I'm 6'7". Ooh. I've sometimes claimed to be 200 and sometimes 201 centimeters, but I've never claimed to be 2 whole inches taller. You might say that lying about 2 inches is not a big deal, but to some people, that's all they've got.
Thankfully, I have a very small cock.
This is going to get wild. 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 So, what is his connection with Asmongold and these types?
One of the goats, God bless you, Nux.
Yes, the post-Nux Clarity incident.
So this video that was uploaded with, again, Nuxtaku as Jeffrey Epstein and me as, I assume, Elaine Maxwell over here.
Since then, Nuxtaku has re-established himself as one of many populistic right-wing commentators, such as Tectone himself, who tried to orbit Asmongold.
It's really like, I mean, this part right here, right? And then there's this. And then there's a little bit of that, too.
I was apparently recently hired as Asmongold's thumbnail editor.
Why wasn't Asmongold nominated at the Streamer Awards? And it's me holding up a fucking thing of, I'm white, you're black, and I'm pointing a gun at somebody? Damn, bro, like, that's what it was. This is a top tier thumbnail? I think it is. Honestly, like, we should have just used this one. Oh my god. Hire this guy? Yeah. Yeah, this is great. Thumbnail editor? This is great. Yeah, why not?
My response was not the most charismatic one. He never actually intended to hire me. That was merely a stunt he did for his livestream. Even his recent defending of Tectone, it was probably for the best. As a Forbes magazine featured commentator, I can't be associating with people like this. However, this video isn't about Asmongold or Tectone. It's about the rumors circulating Nuxtaku.
The amount of misinformation put out on this guy is insane. I mean, dude, I get told that Nux is a pedophile daily. And I'm like, brother, what the fuck are you talking about? Nux has always been good to me, and I'm a guy who's always gonna have the back of my friends. However, I will also be the first guy to hold my friends accountable.
We'll see about that. But why would anyone say that Nuxtaku l***s after children? I have my...
All right, so that kind of like gives you a little bit of the background. So you know who Nux is like kind of in orbit of, you know, some of his associations. This stuff gets wild. And I mean, wild. If a trans person had done anything remotely close to this, they would be like canceled, investigated, run off the internet 100%. And so Tectone and then also ties to Asmongold. Let's see why would someone say something like this about this guy?
My own criticisms of the guy, but he's a very religious man.
We got to stand up and fight for God.
Oh yeah, he's a very religious person. I'm going to move this over here, by the way, and then I'm going to enlarge it a little bit so that we can see it without my chat cutting it off. There we go. How's that? I think that will work a little bit better.
We were living in a world of like unbelievable hedonism that just kept ramping up higher and higher and higher, you know, higher and higher, more and more hedonism and secularism, and it completely took over. And this is an unbelievable conversation that's being had right now.
He speaks out against hedonism and degeneracy.
It's not surprising that people that are based purely on hedonism, that they think you can fuck everything that moves. They think that sex should be publicized and taught to little babies and children, teaching them to change their genders and shit like that.
He's against sex being taught to young children and little babies. He hasn't always been open about his religious beliefs, but he has a long history of criticizing the Twitch platform for making adult content available to minors.
Twitch can't decide whether they want to be a 13-plus gaming website or an 18-plus porn website. Twitch wants to rake in all that advertiser bucks for being a 13-plus gaming website. They want to be on every single freaking smart television in America.
All right, remember what I told y'all. Every single time you hear somebody come out with all this puritanical nonsense, every single time they're like, I'm very against sex. I'm very against sex. They're anti-sex worker. They're anti-sex positivity. Every time you see people coming out and just going on and on and on about this stuff, and then talking about like, oh, kids can't be LGBT. You can't change your gender. All this stuff. Whenever I told you before that anti-trans beliefs, if you really truly have anti-trans beliefs, very often you have an assortment of beliefs that interconnect and overlap with that lead you down a very, very bad path. You can already hear a little bit like the incel rhetoric about sex is bad and everything else. And we know what was very popular among incel communities, as we covered previously. It turns out that incels, as much as they don't think that they're going to be able to get girlfriends, they apparently very much like children in all the most fucked up and wrong ways you can imagine.
Because that's why they get so many of their little young impressionable viewers. They are trying to be a 13-plus gaming website as well as a porn site at the same exact fucking time. Just recently, you had the implied nudity meta on Twitch, where they allowed artistic nudity, which is, again, still mind-blowing to me that they even thought this was a good idea on a 13-plus gaming website, by the way.
Making adult content available to children is totally inappropriate, and Nuxdarku has known this for a while.
Hentai ain't for kids under 18, let alone under 13.
Some insist that it is solely the parents' responsibility to stop their children from seeing that stuff. End of story. I think that's a very dumb perspective, so I'm going to back up Nuxdarku on this one. Parents do have the primary responsibility to protect their children. But that responsibility isn't on them alone. If you're publishing content on a 13-plus website, the creators, the parents, and the platform have a shared responsibility to protect the children using that site from being exposed to harmful content. In the case of Twitch, the creators are knowingly streaming inappropriate content, and Twitch isn't cracking down on it. As Nuxdarku clearly understands, it is supposed to be a 13-plus platform. If you're allowing or uploading adult content onto that platform, you're clearly doing something wrong, and should be held responsible if kids come across that content. Parents can easily block actual adult websites, and some even teach you how to do it. But when adult content is hidden on a 13-plus website, the parents might not even suspect it to be there. Take, for example, Mutahar's aunt.
Here's the fucking wildest thing about her, okay? So she has every fucking parental filter. If you walk into her house, it's like fucking North Korea. However, she hasn't done anything for YouTube. She hasn't looked at parental controls. So in her mind, she's like, I'm a good parent. I'm making sure they don't watch porn. And then their kids are watching like Andrew Tate and shit. So she's blocked this one possibly dangerous avenue of psych infiltrating shit, but she hasn't locked the other one out.
Instead of telling his aunt to set up parental controls on YouTube, Mutahar decided to shit-talk her parenting on his massive podcast. Very normal behavior. So when adult content is on an adult website, it's easily blocked. When it's on Twitch or YouTube, it can go unnoticed and in the worst cases, subvert those parental controls. That's why it's important for creators on these platforms to keep in mind that their content is going to be available to and be seen by children. As an example, you shouldn't have a hentai reviewer on your podcast and then shout them out by pitching their content as a method to circumvent parental controls.
Ladies and gentlemen, please check out our friend Hartweigen, friend of the show, absolutely amazing creator. If you're into hentai and you got parental filters all over your web browser, this is a channel for you because YouTube is not blocked.
So YouTube is not blocked. I want to be clear. So we're following along because there's so much that, first of all, really good job in putting this video together. Really good job in exposing all of this stuff. But just so that we are all following along, I want to pause it and make sure that this is highlighted. This guy ended up making they had a hentai streamer, a guy that makes hentai on their platform, and they are just shouting out, knowing that they have an audience full of kids, that you can go follow him and watch his YouTube stuff because YouTube does not filter his content. Directly pushing this content to kids exactly how they say that they don't.
By parental filter, so wink wink on that one.
Before you run off calling Mutahar some early porn introduction mogul, this is just a single, irresponsible one-off comment from years ago. It was a dumb thing to say, but there is no broad pattern of Mutahar engaging in this behavior. To return to Nux's critique of Twitch, another problem with adult content being on a 13-plus website is its potential to funnel children to adult websites and services.
Every single freaking ASMR streamer on Twitch is linking their OnlyFans because ultimately Twitch is a massive funnel to that stuff, and Twitch knows that. Most of Twitch these days is a literal funnel to OnlyFans. Remember, this is a 13-plus gaming website where 90% of just chatting streams are boobs, funneling people to the OnlyFans of the streamers because it's not like there's any discoverability on OnlyFans. OnlyFans. And the recommended page and every thumbnail on the just chatting category would be banned on YouTube. Bro, do you see what's going on your website, bro? This shit would be banned on YouTube immediately.
I'm not too sure about that last bit, but if a creator's content is directing children to adult websites, making it more available and accessible to them, they are more likely to not only seek out that content, but also far more extreme content than they otherwise would have. Nakstaku, on the other hand, has been criticizing Twitch for allowing this content since the creation of the hot tubs category.
The new Twitch meta, ladies and gentlemen, she doesn't need to see it for her browser history if you look up PONR. Her stream is PONR. Bruh.
It's just so noisy.
Bruh. It's unbelievable that this content is allowed.
In February 2021, he released a whole song about it.
I made a music video parody of Billie Eilish's.
Yeah, so obviously he's really big mad about it. And let's just skip forward a little bit because I'm just going to show you some sections of this, okay? So he goes on and on and on about this stuff. I just wanted to show you what he was talking about, all right? Because we're setting this up. And I try to click that, I can't view that message. You're going to have to like, you're going to have to send it without the block on it. All right.
But your heart's in the right place. Wait, why would Shad...
All right. So this is Shad talking. Now, if y'all don't know, Shad is a very, very infamous, like, lolly producer. All right. And they have a friendly reaction back and forth here, which would be very weird if you are all anti-exposing children to underage content and you're all, you make such a big deal about going after people that you suspect are into kids, and here you are being buddy-buddy with somebody who produces lolly.
Man, say that. Anyway, these statements and instances where Nakstaku actually mocked messages he received from Shadman have been misconstrued by bad faith actors to claim that Nakstaku had some connection with Shadman or a desire to work with him. I mean, look at the timeline. We're supposed to believe that 3 days after catfishing predators, Nakstaku was trying to get on Shadman's good side. It is such easily debunkable nonsense. This whole controversy was just an offshoot of the early Mr. Beast drama, when Ava Chris Tyson's fandom of Shadman was exposed. Nakstaku was among the people calling her out on it, but also for running a Discord server where NSFW content was available to minors. Despite his consistent, long-term opposition to children being exposed to adult content, and criticism of multiple creators who have blurred the line between adults and children, Nakstaku continues to be smeared as some kind of pedophile because of his old videos.
My videos were...
All right, so as I said before, you can see what happened with Ava. If it was a trans woman that had anything to do with anything like this, she would have been canceled, run off the internet. That's exactly what happened to her, and Mr. Beast did not stand by her at all, even though we know later on that in the Discord that she was running, she was not the one like directly that had anything to do with this. And then it's like, oh, well, you left. There's some channel open that was 18 plus that some minor could have accessed. Obviously, that's a problem. That's also why, if you notice in my Discord server, there are no 18 plus areas. I don't allow for that stuff at all. And if anybody posts that stuff, they will be moderated. It's that easy. So this guy's been campaigning now, going on and on and on about being against all of this stuff and making a big deal about Ava's Discord, that she wasn't even the one directly having to do with it. It was her moderators that failed to lock down that 18 plus channel with the server. But let's continue. Let's just see how bad this gets.
Showing people weird shit that came out of Japan to get funny reactions. And I, to this day, do not think that they were harmful videos. I don't.
It really isn't necessary, but let's take a look at one of those examples. If we go to May of 2021, a couple months after releasing the song about Twitch, and a few months before the Shadman collab request, he released this video. It's about Nakstaku reviewing the old comics made by the author of the Nagatoro manga. It's a romantic comedy about the titular Nagatoro, a high school junior. I know a little trick for looking up the old thumbnails of videos on the Internet Archive, and the thumbnail of this video used to look like this. Nagatoro taking off her panties. This isn't the second version. This is the third version. Here is the second version. Nagatoro completely naked, and there's some kind of a chimpanzee behind her.
But she's sitting there in the forest, and all of a sudden Monkey comes out and starts...
That's a lot of monkey hands. Jesus Christ.
God damn it. And then they proceed to... Okay, anyway. She ends up having an epiphany that in order to survive, she must drink fluids. So she proceeds to drink fluids.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. That's why she's like, go as much as you want, because
you can dish out there. Okay.
Yeah,
so, literally, Nux sharing bestiality. Literally. And, oh, people are just making too much of a big deal about their old videos. I just want you to remember, this is the person that was like, oh no, you can't show kids underage, you know, if they're underage, if you have anything to do with this stuff, it would make you like a groomer. It would make you like a pedo. If you're a trans person just for existing, then that makes you essentially a groomer. Like, oh my God, if there's ever any kids around a trans person, then you'd be grooming those kids. That's what Nux says. That's what people like Asmongold says. And then this is literally on in one of their videos that they showed. And all this stuff that's being shown here, all this censorship is Nikandros censored this stuff. All right? And you can see it says the context censorship right up there in the top right corner of this. All right? That's what he censored. A child being forcibly to have sex with a whole bunch of monkeys. All right? That's who this guy is. And this is not like remotely the worst of the stuff that he's done. And this guy endlessly was going after Niara TV, calling her like a groomer and stuff like that because she supports the ability of like trans kids to get puberty blockers. This piece of human garbage said that that would make you like a groomer, is supporting their access to puberty blockers. And yet this is what he's showing on his videos, on his streams.
She needs to drink it to survive. This is survival instincts. Boom! They were in fact not in the forest. She was in fact with the monkeys in a zoo in front of a whole bunch of people. Out of people? No, an audience? Is this a zoo? They saw all of it? The mating act? This is so cursed. This is the worst image in the history of
why would the monkey bring it up? That's so weird.
So she pushes the shock collar that she happens to be wearing.
Oh, they put her on a shock? What the fuck?
To force her to do the friendship show.
So she's a slave.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up. And then she has to dance like monkey.
Nuxtaku is displaying a comic to his audience about a little girl being raped by a pack of monkeys in a zoo exhibit before a crowd of children. The censorship is at times very lacking. There's lots of fluids and even monkey cocks visible on screen. Not only did Nuxtaku show that, he's displaying multiple adult websites and shows the names of all the comics, making it easy for the audience members to look them up for themselves.
Lolicon, oh, it hurts so bad.
What? It's got 69.
There's 69,000 Lolicon manga.
69,000. No big deal, right?
This is far worse than anything I've seen on Twitch. How is this sponsored by Raycon? Wasn't Nuxtaku supposed to confront Shadman for this stuff? I thought he was against hedonism and degeneracy. The video was also not age restricted, meaning that he made it visible to his own crowd of children. And the comment section had many children on it. Some of them were asking for Nuxtaku to reduce the censorship, and others were asking for the source of these adult comics. When I say children, I'm not just making a blind guess. Many of these children had videos of themselves on their channel. So while Nuxtaku was railing against Twitch for letting children see bikini ladies, he was uploading content like this, with thumbnails like this, to a 13+ website.
Which is, again, still mind-blowing to me that they even thought this was a good idea on a 13+ gaming website, by the way.
And nowadays,
So when you see this piece of shit, when you see this PFP of this person, anytime you see this like little anime goofy character with this stupid Slade mask on his head, and by the way, is that Slade? Or is that... It says incorporates from various anime games and video characters, including a devilish grin. Like, I was thinking Slade, but it's what was the name? Red X from Teen Titans. The reason why that would be relevant, by the way, like why I would connect this, is because Slade wore like a skull mask and had like half his mask was black and half of it was like, what, gold? And Slade in the comics sleeps with Tara like a teenager. No, it's a combination of a few characters, but Slade had the let's see. Oh no, it's definitely Red X. I was thinking it was also, because I thought Red X's mask was based off like a little bit off Slade, but Slade's is more like a hockey mask. But still, you're using a mask from like a teenage character that was supposed to be like, you know, when Robin was pretending to, you know, be like Slade's accomplice or whatever. It's just weird that that character, you know, it's like, what is, I wonder what his position would be on the character of Slade. Well, I wonder what Nux would say. Slade did nothing wrong. This guy is 100% exposing kids to sexual content, and he knows it, and he's willingly doing it, and like just continues to do so. We can just continue.
He presents
on
himself
it.
as this fighter for God and this opponent of degeneracy and hedonism. This video isn't
It gets
publicly available anymore
wild.
because I tweeted a link to it around the time of the post-Nux Clarity incident. It used to embed on the tweet, but now it no longer does, because within 30 minutes of me tweeting it, the video was set to private. There was no apology or explanation, only an attempt to hide evidence of one's past, which in itself became evidence of a guilty mind. I have never seen anyone post the kind of content Nuxtaku did on a regular basis and not get banned. Not only hasn't he been banned, until recently, he was hanging out with massive, well-respected creators. He might be one of the most underlooked and worst cases of such a high-profile creator, profiting from exposing children to adult content, directing them to adult websites, and running their communities with a total disregard for child safety. Nowadays, he pretends that none of this ever happened. He downplays it, lies about it, and deletes evidence of it. Let's start from the beginning. Nuxtaku started out as an anime YouTuber in 2015. He grew slowly and steadily, but in late 2019, everything changed. Jeffrey Epstein died in prison. Excuse me, 2 weeks after that.
I also made a video on YouTube that has since been removed, the biggest flexes in hentai. And the degeneracy began from there.
In the video, Nuxtaku reviews and recommends 10 hentai animations, 7 of which were categorized as lolly, meaning they contained underage characters.
This bad.
So he makes a top 10 that he recommends, and 7 of 10 contain lolly, which I know like some people are gonna say, oh, like lolly is not the same. No, you're out of your mind. Okay. Lolly is 100% underage stuff. If you like lolly, like giant yikes, and they should check your hard drive. All I'm going to say. 7 out of 10 recommendations. I bet he's Catholic. Like, hey, Jem, are you still in the chat? Are you still watching? This guy said he's very religious. Come get your boy. This is one of you. It's one of your people, right? Y'all all make excuses for this sort of thing. All of you talking about, you know, you got like trans derangement syndrome, where you are so focused on trans people that you don't even notice that like some of the most popular content creators among conservative circles, especially regarding animation, is literally peddling pedo shit.
Boy, very not chill stepfather has a very not chill relationship with stepdaughter. Again, most people would think this is weird, but hentai clearly knows better.
He was already showing adult content to a 13+ audience, and giving them advice on how to find adult content online.
The reason why I bring it up here is because without putting text on the screen is nearly impossible to remember. Therefore, since the plot, and it's a goddamn plot, deep thematic and philosophical undertones here, I believe anyone who wanted to search this bad boy up without said title, because I was a douche for not putting it on screen, would just simply look up time stop hentai. Far easier than... Very understandable. A lot of y'all sent me screenshots on Twitter. Link to my Twitter in the description.
So, notice that, first of all, like, this guy, I'm sorry, I know, I can't do it. His voice, who talks like that? Like, he's trying to talk like an anime character or whatever. It is so creepy. This is an adult man, a fully adult man, putting on this little show to try to reach people that are much younger by talking in such a goofy little voice. Like, wait, if your neighbor was talking this way to neighborhood kids, you'd be like, wow, this guy's kind of a creep. And then it turns out that he's like trying to peddle like lolly stuff to them. And when he stops, when he says for a second that he's pushing time stop hentai, I just want y'all to take a second and really grapple with what does that mean? Because he's like, oh, there's such a deep philosophical plot. All right. What do you think time stop hentai means? Because hentai is obviously a type of pornographic material. And if the plot is utilizing time stop as, you know, as a means to move the plot along, what do you think those characters are doing? And why is it so hard for people to find it? Because it's rape. That's why. Time stop hentai is rape. Kyle, that is a good question. All right. How is this guy still able to have a YouTube channel? And I know, like, you know, Nikandros was saying he's been going back and privating a lot of videos to try and cover up, like, the worst of the worst. But in general, I promise you, we watched at the very beginning, Tech Cone already was like, oh, everybody says this guy's is a pedo, but he's always been chill with me. As if, like, why do people keep saying this? That's, once again, in the right-wing echo chamber, whenever you end up having brain rot to that degree, you stop being curious. You're not actually a skeptic. You're not actually investigating anything. If I found out that, like, there was a large contingent of people online that were, like, calling some YouTuber that I watched a pedo, I would eventually, you know, when I keep seeing that, be like, huh, why do y'all say that? Like, what's going on? And whenever they accuse a lot of times people on the left, they'll just say, like, oh, well, you're trans or you're LGBT, so that must mean that you're into this stuff. That's what they'll say. And when they say stuff like that, obviously you're just casting so many aspersions at so many people that it's hard to take serious when you accuse someone if you keep doing that. You're like the boy who cried wolf. However, there are some situations that when people say, hey, this person's a pedo, and you're like, why? Mountains of evidence. Mountains of it. And Ava got canceled for way less with Mr. Beast. Way less. And fucking this guy still has a YouTube channel. Still has fucking tons of followers. So obviously, him being a pedo and pushing it on kids is not enough to get him canceled on the right. He still gets collaborations with people on the right. There are still people like TechCone that will defend him, despite all this being out there. And any one of them could have went and watched the Nick and Tross video. That's why I wanted y'all to see it. Because, like, I didn't know who Nick Andros was before this, but I knew who Nux Taku was. So I was like, hey, if I'm aware of this, and this guy, I mean, incessantly goes after trans people on Twitter. Like, I kept seeing him just from his beefing with Niara, and then him also, like, you know, responding to Dead Domain and shit like that. And I was like, man, this guy is just, like, is obsessed with going after trans people. And it turns out that he's a giant pedo.
Of the top recommended searches on the hub of prawn. And lo and behold, much to my surprise, WTF fanbase, one of the top hits is Time Stop Hentai. And it stayed like that for 3 goddamn days immediately after me uploading my biggest flex as an hentai video. Now that is the biggest flex in hentai.
At the time, these videos earned him a massive amount of attention. The first video got 500,000 views, and it's
So this was him pushing rape content onto people and then bragging that on a certain adult website that it ends up being like trending for like 3 or 4 days, the top #1 thing searching after he released his video, essentially claiming credit for pushing rape content onto people.
many sequels were even more successful, with the whole series garnering a total of 5 million views. One of them was even sponsored by an adult game platform. Because these videos were far more TOS risky than his usual content, Nuxtarker would soon delete them after uploading to avoid moderation consequences.
The greatest plots in hentai 2! Yes, this video will be deleted soon after uploading for the sake of my channel's survival. But a promise is a promise, so yippee, here we go! 50,000 likes and the greatest plots in hentai 3 will be out eventually.
In reality, he didn't actually delete them. He set them to private, and at a later date, he set them to unlisted, meaning that anyone with a link could see them. I actually managed to find these videos quite some time ago. I archived them, and Nuxtarku can tell you the rest. Only one of them remains unlisted. Go check it out. out. If it has gone private, it confirms that Nuxtaku knows about this video. After the success of this hentai video series, it soon became the core focus of Nux's content for years to come. By December 2019, he reached 1 million subscribers. In 2020, he was collaborating with some of the biggest creators on the platform and filming their reactions to adult animations or comics, often involving characters of a questionable age.
There is an asshole door, so it's a woman with her ass out, and this one's like an anal key. And Ash Ketchum is well, at least a young Ash Ketchum seems to be approaching it.
No.
And he uses what's called the fist dash, it seems, to gain entry.
Oh, wow.
Moist critical. And by the way, this was like not the only like moist critical interaction that they had, because I saw some people like, oh no, not moist critical. I'm sure like he agreed to do a stream and then was surprised at what happened on the stream. Except moist critical did several other collaborations with Nux. And you look at that and you tell me like, oh, this is acceptable. This is perfectly fine. That's censored. What?
Is this made for you?
Yeah,
I think it's gotten it. So now he sprayed her with the spray of doom.
Oh no. She's quivering. Oh my god! What? I didn't experience that, no!
Given his size as a creator, Moist Critical actually appeared in Nuxtaku's videos surprisingly frequently. He used to be a part of something Nuxtaku called the Hentai Gang, and they would react to various hentai clips together.
Oh god, this is good stuff. We got full color, snuff, guro, torture, amputee. All the wholesome kind.
Sounds good, let me see that shit.
Nuxtaku also deployed a very aggressive clickbait strategy. Showing some bikini ladies wasn't enough. He needed cropped hentai, bestiality, and lolly. Despite having displayed this content in his videos and thumbnails for years, Nuxtaku has consistently denied being into it, but he also claims he doesn't believe enjoying it makes you a pedophile.
There are 3 levels here, okay? There's lollies, which I have absolutely nothing against. I don't think anyone has anything against lollies, okay? Like Chibidoki or Megumin from Konosuba or Gura. Nothing has anything against lollies. It's lolly that's the gray zone.
No. Kyle, I understand, but you need to be aware of this, all right? Because the fact of the matter is, you said, how can this guy have done this for so long and get away with it? Because people don't know. And if you turn around and you say, okay, well, I don't want to know what this guy's into, like, I understand that, but I want to arm you with this information so that if you see someone who has this freaking weirdo's, you know, PFP as a picture somewhere, if you see this little weird, creepy anime character, you'll know exactly who he is and what he's about. And if you see people connected to him, and this is like, this guy is such a piece of shit. This is like, he's literally setting a new bar for a barometer for you to be like asking someone a question. Like when you first start to get to know them or their political leanings, you could ask them, what do they think about Nuxtaku? Like, just ask them, what do they think about him? And if they don't know who he is, then it's like, okay, cool. If they do know who he is, and like, oh, well, Nux is fine, or they enjoy Nux's content, or whatever the fuck, you know who you're dealing with. Like, I understand. I was getting more and more and more angry watching this stuff. And like, genuinely, like, Fed posting is so hard right now. Because these people have endlessly encouraged people to go out and harm trans people. They endlessly produce shirts and stuff that say like, hunt your local pedophile or kill your local pedophile. And they call all LGBT people pedophiles, and we know what they mean. When these are the actual pedos. People like Nux. And I remember literally Demon Mama got accused of some garbage from Westside Tyler. And all the stuff that happened and the drama and fallout. Tyler doxed her, and she's basically just been off the platform ever since because of people like harassing her and threatening her and everything else. And these were allegations that were on very shaky ground at best. Nuxtaku is continuously produced this stuff, continuously pushed this stuff on kids. And we haven't even gotten to some of the worst of this. Just so you know, we're not even close. Because this motherfucker has a Discord server. So you can imagine if this is what he was putting on YouTube, what was going on in his Discord server.
Naxtaku would begin to signal anti-lolicon sentiments in 2022, causing drama between him and Rev Sestesu.
They couldn't believe the guy who has used lolly-related content in his thumbnails, videos, and the same guy who has openly befriended lolicons, followed and praised lolicons on Twitter, could be making such a statement under glaring hypocrisy.
I don't like Rev, but they are making a sound point.
Have you seen your thumbnail? This thumbnail, lolly likers are pedos. This is in quotes, like it's something I actually said.
It's a pretty reasonable inference of your position based on the content of your tweet.
I did not say this. I didn't even say this a little. Not even a little. And this dude's like, oh, dude, we're gonna make this thumbnail. So, dude, when it comes to thumbnails, you can be quiet.
Instead of engaging, Naxtaku acts incredulous that how could someone possibly be saying this?
Then he goes on this whole rant. He's like, dude, you should have your legs broken in because you like lollies. See, you have Gura in a thumbnail. Like, dude, what is going on? What is going on? So, constantly taking me out of context, constantly making me look like a hypocrite for things that I've never been a hypocrite about.
Nax's response to Rev was set to private around the time of the post-Nax Clarity incident. Despite his history, in early 2024, Naxtaku had no problem calling Vosh a pedophile for flashing his lolly horse folder on stream for a couple seconds. Meanwhile, he had his own horse folder on his public YouTube channel. He also forgot to censor the
Yeah, whoops.
on stream for a couple seconds. Meanwhile, he had his own horse folder
Whoops. Hypocrisy all the way down. Double
on
standards.
his public YouTube channel.
Just nothing.
He also forgot to censor the contents of Vosh's folder in his coverage. Old habits die hard, I guess.
I am the one that gets canceled daily for being a gooner on Twitter, by the way. And I have never saved a porn image.
One of the more shocking images in Vosh's folder depicted a lolicon VTuber that Nax had reacted to.
16 is high school. No! Wait, high schoolers aren't lollies. I agree. Lollies are 1,000-year-old cum vampires. I agree. Yeah, great intro. Everyone.
Yeah, the 1,000-year-old vampire thing, by the way, is 100% a way that these, like, creepy fucks try and get around the idea of, like, underage characters and all this type of stuff in everything that they do. They will end up showing you, like, lolly stuff, and they'll be, oh, but it's fine because canonically this character is, you know, a 1,000-year-old vampire, even though, like, the animation style and everything, you can tell, like, this is a kid. All right, this is where you end up having them try to run defense for this type of shit, where they're like, oh no, I know it looks bad, but let me explain. All right, and by the way, if you're just like, oh, but what if the character is 1,000 years old or whatever? Yeah, Amazon would ban you for life for this shit. If you posted a book that you wrote describing the stuff that he has posted on here, they would ban you. Because Amazon can recognize the same thing that all of us can recognize easily, right? Rub two brain cells together. You see this, you know exactly what they're talking about. Don't ever let them run defense for this. You're like, oh, well, they're a 1,000-year-old vampire. No. You're a pedophile. That's what's going on.
Hey everyone, meet Natsuito Matsuri, extremely wholesome VTuber. Also, she likes talking about lollies. Nothing weird here at all. Oh god, this rabbit hole goes deep.
She just said she's into 10 to 12-year-olds, and Nax does not push back in any serious manner. He then proceeds to react to her content for 20 more minutes.
That was a great video, damn!
Nax clearly had no problem with lolly content, and he was happy to pander to lolicons for years. To return to Naxtaku's thumbnails, I've seen comments under some videos mention him changing them, but that early version has not been captured on the Wayback Machine. In the case of this thumbnail, there are low-resolution captures of the early versions, which depict a woman indulging in self-exploration, censored only by this incrementally growing emoji. Whenever these old thumbnails arouse controversy, Naxtaku goes to quietly censor them. He was clearly maximizing the amount of adult content he could show without getting in trouble with YouTube, and he would use various tricks to dodge demonetizations and age restrictions.
The word Shota is blacklisted on YouTube big time. When I made my video talking about the Shota thing, Shota trending on Twitter, I spelled it with a U, and it gets past the censors. I took out the U, instantly demonetized. Added in the U, turns green again. Dude, I'm telling you, YouTube is run by idiots. Evil idiots, but idiots nonetheless.
He would use special characters in titles and euphemistically refer to adult content as being cultured or wholesome. If a parent saw a title like, I showed cultured clips to normie YouTubers in their child's browser history, it would hardly stand out as a hentai reaction video. Many of these videos originally had far more explicit titles, but Naxtaku has gone back to censor them later. There are also many videos that are no longer available. Naxtaku wasn't only exposing his audience to adult content, he was directing them to it. Leaving the titles of these adult animations visible on screen was not an oversight or an accident.
I love how people ask me for the sauce. I have the title in the screen, people. That's why I don't make them full screen, so you can always find the sauce.
The source, or the source, being the origin of the adult content. Whenever he showed porn in his videos or thumbnails, the comments were full of requests for the source. Some would name the artist, or name the individual work. Others would even post direct links, most of which have been automatically deleted. Some of them still remain, linking to an image tagged with lolly and imminent rape, because Naxtaku used it in his thumbnail. Naxtaku would sometimes sometimes pin these source posts, encouraging these ecosystems of porn sharing in his comments. He's actually acknowledged this phenomenon in his videos.
Half my comment section in the previous episode of the Hentai Gang was all about, where can I find this doorway?
Alright, so...
It really isn't hard to find.
Okay, Charlie.
Yeah, it's super easy to find if you just type in, like...
Very cool, Charlie.
Comes up almost immediately, because I didn't remember the name during the episode. That's all I typed in and found it in almost instantly.
Thanks for the instructions on how to find that hentai comic online. As you can see, talking about...
Right. Yeah, Morian says, yeah, genuinely, this shit is so fucking stupid. How easy they can slander us as pedos. Well, the actual pedos can do whatever the fuck they want. Oh, I'm telling you, it is so frustrating how over and over and over they will accuse you of like, oh, well, you're a trans person, you're an LGBT person. And I know I've said this several times, but it really is the case. That's all it takes to get an accusation from people like this, when it turns out that this is what they are doing. You know, I don't watch Nux's content. I was aware of them on basically like a rabid anti-trans hater on fucking X. And I was like, okay, they are obviously like some VTuber or whatever. They have some weird avatar. I'm not going to go watch their hateful shit. I can't even imagine, like, if I had just gone to their channel, like, what the fuck? Like, what? And Moist Critical? Moist Critical. These people have such large platforms that are sharing this stuff. And people in the comments are like, you know, helping guide others to see it when we already know from early on that there's lots of children in his comics. Or in his comments. Comics. It's just ridiculous. But there is so much to this video, all right? Nyx just did a really, really good job with this. But I'm going to skip forward a little bit, and we're going to go watch a segment now to talk about, did he know that children were watching? Because this is a very long video. And if you want to see the entire thing, definitely go to Nikandros' channel, and you can watch the full thing. I just want to watch some of these sections here with y'all. Because, like, did he know that there were kids? Right? Let's be very specific. Because I feel like it's obvious that he knew. They were saying in his comments that they were kids. And let's see. What's the other evidence?
However, I can demonstrate that it was absolutely undeniable that Nuxtaku knew that children were watching his content. The descriptions of his videos used to explicitly label them as PG-13. This disclaimer can even be found on the Monkey Comic video. That is an explicit admission that Nuxtaku was fine with 13-year-olds seeing this stuff. But we can do better. Months before the Monkey Comic video and the Animal Crossing video, Nuxtaku saw one of his child fans with his own eyes. On October 31st of 2020, he requested his audience to email him the most cursed NSFW videos or memes for a chance to win $1,000. No limit on how horrible it is. Despite requesting NSFW content, the announcement does not list a minimum age, so Nuxtaku was giving a financial incentive to minors to find the worst NSFW content they could. After a day, he'd already received thousands of submissions. He would review these submissions a month later in a video with Oompaville and Iramouse.
I've never even pondered the thought that we could have Lolly and Duro and Bonded all in one thing. That's amazing.
Oh my god.
Among those submissions was a video that one of Nuxtaku's child fans had recorded of themselves.
Oh, what? Bro.
I don't even know what that was.
That was some kid just sent you a video of them shitting and then shooting a dog with a Nerf gun.
It would be really funny not to provide the full context.
Oh, what? Bro.
If you're scared of getting sued, this ain't the move.
That was some kid just sent you a video of them shitting and then shooting a dog with a Nerf gun.
Wait, what the fuck?
But I'll do so anyway. It's not CSAM. It's some little boy farting into their phone camera. Then they shoot at their dog with a Nerf gun. There's no nudity, and you can't even see their face. However, they are clearly a child, and based on the size of their hand, a very young one at that. There's also no sign of Nuxtaku getting parental consent to publish this video. So he's published a video of someone's child without consent, and mixed it in with a bunch of reactions to Lolly Bondage Guro comics.
Oh my god.
This competition was not a one-time thing. It was a whole series, and the total number of emails they received in the end was around 10,000. Whether he intends it or not, by showing this video, Nuxtaku is signaling to the children in his audience that they are welcome to participate. In the rest of the series, Nuxtaku shows lots of adult websites and links to them fully uncensored. Not only that,
and knowing, so you already had a kid send you a video of, like, real video of themselves, and you include that in what you're doing. And what you're doing is promoting hentai. So he 100% knows that kids are watching this. Just wild. And this guy's channel is it's still up.
There are many instances in these videos where Nuxtaku fails to hide the names of the people sending these emails. So he has solicited children to send him porn, and now he's doxing them to his audience. But that's besides the point here. Nuxtaku absolutely knew that children were not only watching, but engaging with his content and his community. Did that cause him to reconsider his content decisions? No. A couple months later, he released a Twitch song, then the Monkey Comic video, and then the Animal Crossing video. Not only did he not change, he began criticizing Twitch for exposing minors to adult content, despite exposing minors to far worse things. So there's a rough outline of the mass child mind poisoning machine that Nuxtaku operated and made a ton of money from. We have already seen some of the community interactions in the comments of his videos, but that's only scratching the surface. Let's go back to 2019.
So, the announcement portion of this video is as follows. My favorite of PewDiePie's videos are his Luai videos, where he gets to see how his community memes around his own content. I personally love that style video. How the community itself can come together, because it's not just the YouTuber or the YouTuber's content that's enjoyable, but it's the idea of this little community forming. So, I am creating a Nuxtaku subreddit, which will not be called Nuxtaku because someone already made r/.
In another effort to imitate PewDiePie, in 2019, Nuxtaku founded his own subreddit, r/Nuxtaku submissions. Nowadays, it's a hentai dumping ground, but back then, it was full of memes about anime and children's cartoons.
Hey, stop touching weird places. Don't worry about it. It's flat anyway. Destruction 100. Ho ho ho. Huge roast there. That's like the ultimate hentai logic as well.
But this is Nuxtaku we're talking about, so there were also posts about hentai for several.
Yeah, it should have been a 100%. Yeah, but somehow no one cares about this. Oh yeah, well, no one think of the children. Yeah, where's all the moralizing about them? No. Like, look. This stuff genuinely is harmful to kids. Like, obviously, children should not be seeing this stuff. There's a reason why it's adult content. And I think, like, if children's parents were informed about what they were seeing, what they're being shown, and what they're being recommended to by Nux, I feel like there'd be like there'd be actual outrage over this. And it's I can't believe that trans people get run off the internet, literally run off the internet, and have our lives threatened for existing and just being accused of being like a groomer or whatever. Meanwhile, this exists. This guy has just been producing so much hentai content and pushing it to kids for years. For years. Because some of this stuff goes back to 2019. How long has this stuff been going on for? And he's been able to just keep doing this? Like, what the hell? So yeah, he has a subreddit that's full of this trash. We're going to go over to get to his Discord server now. This will be the last portion that we talk to, because I've already been going over this for a long time. Y'all are getting more of a complete picture about who this person is. Oh yeah, if it were a trans person, 100%, they'd be saying that like it's full nude. Yeah, 100%. They'd be like, oh no, there's no question. It must have been this. It must have been the worst of the worst. Instead of just talking about what they're actually doing, which what he's doing is bad enough by itself. But let's just continue on going.
To ask. On December 30th of 2021, Nuxtaku would launch his Discord server.
That's right, I opened a public Discord server. I swore to myself I would never do it because the degeneracy would be too much, and the degeneracy is already too much. So join that Discord server. It's a public server. It's open. 16 or older though, please?
I am happy that he has a minimum age rule this time, but setting it to 16 is a massive self-report that he is aware that a large chunk of his audience is underage. It's also highly questionable given his decision to launch the server with a set of NSFW channels, including an NSFW voice channel. To be honest, I was surprised that there were NSFW channels when the server rules said 16 and up, because NSFW is supposed to be 18 and up. I mean, if you already watch Nux, fair. To be clear, those channels were supposed to be only for adults. But given the state of Discord's age verification, setting a channel into NSFW mode doesn't really do anything to stop minors from accessing it. All they have to do is lie about their age to Discord. The channels were fortunately removed 6 days after the server was open to the public. The announcement of their removal does mention issues like minors sneaking in by lying about their age. However, the main reason was that having NSFW channels disqualified the server from Discord partnership. Some users protested. Nux's content already involved a lot of NSFW media, so why not allow people to post it in his community? A staff member responded that the age group of the Billies, that being the name of Nuxtaku's fandom, wasn't appropriate for it. So even Nuxtaku's Discord staff members knew that a large chunk of his audience were minors. The decision to have NSFW channels on the server was already questionable in the first place, but it becomes even more questionable when you remember that Nuxtaku made that predator catfishing video months earlier.
I wanted to make this sort of an educational topic and bring light to an issue that's really big. There's a lot of predators on Discord. Like, a lot.
There's a lot of predators on Discord. Like,
How do you make a video raising awareness of Discord predators, but then set up a Discord server which will facilitate adult conversations between adults and minors? But hey, they deleted the NSFW channels quickly, so the problem is solved, right? Not necessarily. Nuxtaku shouted out to Discord on December 28th on his Twitch, and December 30th on YouTube. His audience floods in, there's problems with minors showing up in the NSFW channels, and then they find out that having them at all would disqualify them from Discord partnership. Instead of wiping them out instantly, they announce they'll be deleted in 2 days. Why? So that people can pay their respects to a Discord goon channel? I saw a member of the council mention that the users on the NSFW channels set up their own fan NSFW server, which I have to guess the staff allowed them to promote on those channels. I can't confirm that since those channels are now gone, but I saw one user even in the general channel promoting their own NSFW server. So all of those minors who were lying about their age in the first place and accessing the NSFW channel on Nux's server would just get funneled to that fan server instead. Who was moderating it? Who knows? What age verification standards were they going to uphold, assuming the admins are not minors themselves, or even worse, adult predators? There's a lot of those on Discord apparently. I'd like to remind you at this point that Ava Chris Tyson's Discord server was private when the NSFW channels were open in 2018. It was closed when the server was open to the public in January 2019. In Tyson's case, the drama was about LavaGS, Nathan, and apparently a handful of other minors being present on the server while it was private. The initial accusations made by Prison42 also included claims of Tyson grooming LavaGS, but no evidence for that was ever found. The Discord just had NSFW content available to minors. By those standards, Nuxtaku's Reddit was already way worse, and his Discord way worse 4 years after Tyson's Discord, when there was more of a general awareness of these issues. Tyson's server apparently still had sexual chats or juvenile banter after it went public, but looking at the kinds of terms that were frequently used on Nux's Discord, there was plenty of that to go around. If NSFW content was now banned from Nuxtaku's Discord, how did they handle Nuxtaku's NSFW content? If the thumbnails contained NSFW content, the staff members would remove their embeds. Darn Nux using blatantly NSFW thumbnails that stay in the Discord cache after he censors them. Some users would still post NSFW images from Nux's content or the content of his friends, and the staff, despite reacting to them, wouldn't delete them. God damn it, Nux, we're trying to keep the order. In a recent one, he used a thumbnail from an actual porn video. Ah, okay, so Nux again with the nip slip, I see. This is Pokemon-branded Lolly Bestiality in January 2022. According to the Wayback Machine, this thumbnail was left like this for months. This is on par with his idea to make Twitch streamers say the N-word. We removed the embed.
Yeah, so remember, Ava, trans person, gets like fucking absolutely roasted and run off the internet because of her server having, a couple of channels that were still in SFW when the server went live, and it should have been all removed. This guy is posting literal bestiality. Nothing. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you cannot take right-wingers serious when they say that they care about this stuff at all. They produce it, promote it, share it, and they'll hide behind, oh, I'm religious, right? Like our little Catholic friend that left wherever the Catholic was that was here earlier. I wanted to see his reaction to this. To be like, are you going to condemn this dude and be like, hey, this is fucked up? And say, oh, but Zoe, why does it matter if you condemn? That way we know where you stand in relation to it. Whenever you ask, like, why is it important to condemn something? Oh, you just want me to condemn it. That's just a virtue signal. No, it's so that we know where you stand in relation to this type of content. Because when you come in here and you start telling me, like, you should go to church, you should be a Catholic, you should care about this, whatever. One of the first things that I think of is like, are you trying to push some weird pedo stuff on me? That's what I think of when Catholics start saying this stuff. Because it's so well known that their organizations are so rife with it. And can you imagine if someone's a trans person and a Catholic? You would just automatically get branded as if you were a P3DO. Automatically. You wouldn't even have to do anything. They would just be like, oh, wait a minute. You're transgender and you're a Catholic? Oh, no. You're for sure. You know, in that area. I don't understand this. And it's like, oh, you're just like virtue signaling. What is... This is a vice signal. Literally, over and over, Nux being like, the degeneracy. Oh, no, not the degeneracy. When you are the one producing this stuff. I 100% activating for sure. And I'm glad that you're here with us, Kyle. I cannot. This is like, it's like almost at a loss of words to describe how bad this is. It's like a hypocrite, a piece of shit, human garbage, peddling fucking lolly peddling bestiality. This guy is like literally doing every single thing that you would think would get you like burned off the internet for openly doing. And yet he has a massive fan base.
Nux is pushing the limits, Lamau.
What the fuck?
What is he pushing the limits of? The thumbnail of his latest video. Then why he do it non-censored then? That's the big question. Here's a bigger question. If the age group of Nux's audience is too young for his Discord community to have NSFW channels, but most of the people on this server came from Nux's channel, why is the content of that channel too NSFW for the demographic of the Discord? Isn't this massively self-incriminating? Despite having this long history of running communities where minors were exposed to adult content, and that being the very core of his YouTube content for years, in 2024, Nuxtaku wasn't only criticizing, but grandstanding over Eva Chris Tyson. He was also putting lollipede into his content before and after he was supposed to confront Shadman for drawing lollipede on September 30th of 2021. However, Nuxtaku's numerous lies about his association with Shadman is something for a different video. There's also the V-Show drama to cover, which lots of people think he was in the right about. That is not the case at all, but again, different video. It's a real shame because...
Shane says, the problem with virtue signaling is when you use virtue signal as a way to signal membership in a group when you don't actually support it or even actively oppose it. Right, yeah, if you actually support it, there's nothing wrong with virtue. Like, look, I understand that some people are going to get frustrated whenever you say, like, oh, I, for one, oppose murder or whatever. People are not, you know, it's like, okay, I think most people oppose murder. Like, clearly not some people, but most people do. So it just seems like you're not really saying anything, you know? We're like, oh, I support truth and honesty, right? But who's going to tell you that they're like a liar and a deceiver? And people with an issue with virtue signaling are usually against the virtue being expressed, but they don't want to say it. Well, right. And that's the thing. Like, I've also met a lot of people, and this is kind of like a, you know, on the religious side of it, you have a lot of people that essentially just claim that they are very moral and that you should listen to them because, like, you know, their ethics come from God and this type of thing, right? That's usually on the religious side. They're holier than thou. You should listen to them and follow whatever they say. Then on the other end of it, whenever I end up running into like atheists or skeptics, a lot of them will basically be like, oh, well, I don't even believe in morals or ethical norms anyway. So then when you talk about virtue, they act like you're talking about something that's non-existent, or it's something that's so ephemeral we can't agree on what a virtue or a vice is. But if you are virtue signaling, if you are communicating a virtue and you're saying like this thing is good to have, and you oppose some vice, they will still get angry because they, oh, well, that doesn't really tell you, you could just say that. You know, who knows what you really mean? You know, the whole Peterson, what do you mean virtue? You got a big combo with a conservative about land acknowledgements. All right, we'll get to comments in a minute. I do want to finish this React video, especially if I end up clipping this out. Yeah, and you said that their big objection was just they don't like virtue signaling. Oh no, if you want to, I'll talk to you in just a minute on this because I had a similar conversation about like other issues about reparations, right? So there's not too much more that I wanted to go over, right?
Because what I'm going to reveal next is likely going to kill his career. Not to imply what I presented earlier isn't already bad enough, but this is just beyond forgiveness. You see, there is another Nuxtaku Discord server, even older than his subreddit. I saw an ad for it, which made me very intrigued.
Really help keep my channel afloat. All patrons are invited to the Discord server where we hang out having a great time, and unlike Tumblr, we have an NSFW section.
His other Discord server.
Welcome to the Nexus, Nuxtaku's Patreon Discord, founded in April of 2018. In its current state, the server is almost totally inactive, but the NSFW channel is still here. Despite having an NSFW channel, the server's rules mention nothing about a minimum age, and there is nothing about it being 18+ on the Patreon side either. What's special about this community is Nux's level of engagement. He wasn't talking to people on his Reddit, and he kept the interactions on the public Discord to a minimum. However, on the Patreon Discord, at least in 2018-2019, he would actually talk to people, and even hang out in voice chats with them. Here we can actually see him talking with the artist behind his 2019 era character. The original high-resolution files are here as well. This one, where Nux is rubbing his hands, has the file name nux_merchant.png. Very interesting. The NSFW channel wasn't there from the start. We can trace its creation to this exchange from October 15th, 2018, where we can see this user, who from now on will be called Red, repeatedly asking Nux to create it. If we look at the time and date of these messages, the NSFW channel was made 2 minutes later. In response to this, Red raised their Patreon pledge, and Nux gave them a thumbs up. For a brief moment, let me take you to August of 2024. Nuxtaku is finally being pressed about his past content, and he was actually pushed into making a response.
The biggest shock to me to this day entering the broader commentary sphere was the dangers lurking around every corner in regards to children. Children are not safe on the internet. I only became chronically online after high school, but I couldn't imagine what it would do to me if I was in some YouTuber's Discord server at the age of 12 or 14.
You couldn't imagine. You don't need to. Red joined the server on September 7th. On day 1, they openly declared themselves to be 14 years old. They would later claim to be 15 multiple times.
So, we're gonna... This is like really important to pay attention to and follow, okay? This person that joined their private Discord, 14, and they would lie later on, say that they're 15. So now we can see what happens when Nux knows that someone is a minor in his server. Directly knows.
But as they openly stated, they were lying about their age. Red was born in 2004. They had turned 14 soon before they joined the server. The Discord was a pretty small clique, and soon enough, basically everyone on the server knew that Red was underage. Despite this, Nuxtaku made the NSFW channel for them a month later, and within a year, they had posted 242 messages on the channel. There's also an instance where another user pinged Red into the NSFW channel. As far as I can tell, this behavior was not punished. So a 14-year-old paid Nuxtaku money to be on his Patreon Discord server. He made the NSFW channel for them, after which he accepted even more money from them, and allowed them to post onto that channel for over a year before they left the server. But did Nuxtaku know that Red was underage? There is no message of Nux acknowledging Red's age. However, it is extremely unlikely that he didn't know. In this conversation from earlier, where Red says they're lying about their age, Nuxtaku shows up soon afterwards. In this conversation, there's some kind of an ERP going on in the general chat, which is interrupted by Red. Red is told not to get involved because they're underage. After Red says the conversation is making them gag, another user jokes, "Oh no, we better stop if we are gagging a minor." Red pinged Nuxtaku soon afterwards, but Nux didn't show up. This is Minthia's Mouselord, or Mitochondria, or Mito. According to Nuxtaku, they were the best poster on the NSFW channel. In this conversation about BDSM, we can see Red asking Mito to send their presentation on sex toys to other users. Note, I just made the presentation because Red was clueless. After Bex mentions having a high tolerance to weirdness, Nux shows up to say, "Proud, fanbase." Gremmen asks Mito to send the presentation to Nux. I think that Red already sent it to him. No, I told ya. Never sent it, but I can now. What are we sending me? A sex toy presentation. Why? Lol. We needed to explain sex toys to Red. Nah, it's fine if it's not sent to Nux. Already did, Mito. I'm not doing honest descriptions on all Mito's sex toys. A few minutes later at 2:16, Nux says, "Very cool, Mito, very cool." Nuxtaku has now received a direct message from a minor on his server, containing a link to a sex toy presentation that was made for them. What adult is clueless about sex toys? That's a massive red flag that Red is a minor. There was a previous time a month earlier, when users in the voice chat text channel begged Nuxtaku to join the VC because they needed help explaining sex toys to Red. Again, what adult doesn't know what sex toys are? In this example, Nuxtaku declined the invitation to join the VC, but he absolutely was in voice chats with Red multiple times. One of my agents reached out to Red and asked him about their time on the server. They were willing to share their DMs with Nux to show that they did actually send him the sex toy presentation. So that actually happened. It wasn't just a joke. When asked about whether they were ever in voice chats with Nuxtaku, Red recalled being in a VC with him plenty of times, a couple of times a week. They'd be surprised if Nux didn't notice them being underage, since everyone else did. However, they don't recall Nux ever commenting on their age. Now, I am not a journalist. I'm just a guy on the internet. However, I know you're not supposed to take one person's word and just run with it. Red could be misremembering, they might have some bias for or against Nuxtaku, so it's important to have corroborating evidence. On December 15, 2018, Nuxtaku pinged a deleted user to a VC. Red says Nux is in VC, everyone flood, implying they joined the voice channel with Nux. There's a similar message from January 15, 2019. If we scroll down a bit, we can see a screenshot showing Nux in the VC with Red. The real Nuxtaku here is the real Nuxtaku. Here's another screenshot from the time. Same name, same avatar. The current music channel used to be the old voice text channel, and on it we can sometimes see Red and Nux posting things close to each other that only make sense if they were in the VC at the same time. Here, for example, Nux is working on a thumbnail. There's a message from Red, messages from Nuxtaku, and then a message from Red. An hour later, messages from Nuxtaku. In this one, we have a message from Red addressing Nux. Later, a photo from Nux, then a photo from Red. In this instance, Red asks somebody to join the VC. Another user posts a caked up Charizard. Nuxtaku shows a work-in-progress thumbnail. Message from Red, the Charizard from earlier is now on Nux's thumbnail. There's plenty of evidence of Red speaking, having audio issues, and other users commenting about their voice. So it's not like they never talked in the VC. I think this evidence sufficiently corroborates Red's recollection that they were in the VCs with Nuxtaku multiple times. I'm not sure about a couple times a week, but certainly.
I mean, they, unfortunately, this is a private Discord that was called the Nexus at the front of it. And like I said, you can go back and watch Nikandros' video because I skipped around in this too. So there may have been like other like parts of it that Nick had talked about. But this is like genuinely, this is, okay. I cannot tell y'all how much they made a big deal about like Vosh's folder where it's like, oh, he had like horse stuff in there and lolly stuff. There was literally a concerted effort from these people to cancel Vosh and have like destroy his community and all this type of stuff. Now, I'm not going to defend Vosh on this stuff at all. I don't know why, like, well, we all know why you would have something like that on your computer, but I'm saying like there's no defense for it. Like if that's what you're into, like that's what you're into, but we know what it is. And trying to pretend that like, oh, well, it's not that, you know, which is what Vosh's original like denial was. But to have somebody like this be like, oh, well, Vosh is, you know, on the left, so we should like rally everyone to like crush them off the internet based on one instance of him accidentally showing a file on screen while he's streaming. But then we're going to turn around and just ignore all of this shit from Nux. And by the way, the second Discord server goes on for like another, 30 minutes in this video? Something like that. Yeah, it goes on for like another 25 minutes. I don't want to show everything in there because like go watch next video. But some of the other stuff is this young user basically saying that like he's, you know, interested in like self-harm and asking for instructions on it. And there's another user that basically specifically targeted this minor because he thought it would be funny to share gore videos with him and knew that like it grossed him out. So then this other user is like continuously tagging this minor with gore videos showing really graphic, awful things happening to people. That was going on in Nux's private Discord. So all the sex talk, literally sharing like sex toy, like fucked up sex toy guides with a minor. And then, you know, encouraging this kid to abuse himself and, you know, sharing like endless gore stuff. Now, thankfully, like eventually this user left that server and I'm just aware of like follow up from doing this. And then like when I was looking at the stuff in the background, this user is older now. Like he's doing okay. Like he went back to school and stuff because he said like he dropped out, but then he ended up going back to college and stuff like that. So this user ended up being okay. However, like I just want to mention like from a victim standpoint, this person is fine today. But during this stuff, they were like absolutely tormenting this kid, sharing things with him that should not have been shared at all of a very explicit sexual nature, including toys for adults, and then also endlessly sharing gore with this person. And Nux absolutely knew about it. And you can just see all the receipts of Nux being in the same VC, of Nux responding before and after their comments, as if Nux wouldn't have seen that. All right, no, Nux is far right. Nux is like definitely a far right person. Like he's in the same orbiting crowd as, Tech Cone, Asmongold, all of them. Nux is very far right. Not surprising. But it just ends up being the case when you keep seeing, it's like, how come all these like, very, very conservative people, like I know, I don't know if y'all are familiar with like hashtag like not a drag queen tag that was going on. It's usually like, sex predators are being arrested, and it's like hashtag not a drag queen over and over and over. Like, Trump's former spiritual advisor gets arrested for being a pedo. A lot of these large religious organizations, end up having like clergy and stuff being arrested for being predators. And yet, like they try and deflect and say like, oh, well, no, don't look over here. Only look at those people over there. Only watch them. Meanwhile, they don't want you to see what's going on in their churches. They don't want you to see what's going on with the streamers that they're watching, that they're supporting, who's just churning out hentai, lolly, and stuff, and pushing it to minors. Like, it's to such a degree of unbelievable that we would be expected to listen to anything this guy says or believe anything he has to say after this. He is a predator. This is straight up like pedo stuff. And like, even if he is not a pedo himself, he is 100% an enabler and pushing kids into adult content. This guy should be like Fed posting. I can't say it. This guy should permanently log off. He should be deleted offline forever and not able to log back on after this. He should be on like a watch list. Like they should check his hard drive. Like FBI should be knocking down his door yesterday. But instead, Kash Patel wants to say, oh, we have to worry about like transgender, violent extremists. When you got people like this just churning out harassment. And a lot of his fans are also, I guarantee you, there's a giant overlap between his community and the incel community. Like, you just know that there is. And these people all run and do apologetics for all of this sort of stuff. It's just ridiculous. But I will say we've been streaming for like over 2 hours at this point. I'm getting pretty tired. If you want to watch the rest of this video, go over to Nikandros' channel. It's worth checking out. Like, everyone should know about Nux. You should share and tell every single person you know about Nux if they are online or they have anything to do with politics whatsoever. They need to be aware of who this person is. They need to be aware that he is enabling predators and that he has been sharing this stuff with kids for a very long time. If they take this serious in the least bit, they need to know about this. But before I go, I did say I was going to comment on what Shane had said earlier. And just to go back to it real quick, you were saying that, the person you were talking to doesn't believe indigenous people are in need of any further remuneration from society. That's why they were mad. Okay. This is the same type of conversation that comes up when we talk about like paying reparations for like people of color in this country. And like the frustrating thing is, on one side, it seems like conservatives are like, oh, so you think that the government should just give like $1,000 to every like black person? Is that going to make it better? Is that reparations? No, it's not. The land back to the indigenous people, is that going to just like fix everything? No, it will not. But it's undeniable that our government has systemically genocided these people, went back on treaties that we had with them, continuously tried to like murder them and push them off their land. So it is perfectly reasonable to give back large swaths of land to the tribes that still exist within those areas. And they can be national forests. There's plenty of this country that they could easily be able to gift back over to say, hey, here's restitution. We're giving you back X amount of land in this state. That's a perfectly reasonable ask. And then to like grant them their own autonomy and everything else, just like a lot of the other like indigenous grounds have. That's fine. That's a reasonable ask. Now, when it comes to, do you want to hop on stream real quick and we can just talk about this? Because otherwise, like, we're just going to be talking back and forth in the comments for a while. Unless you can't join right now, which is fine. Oh, sorry, because a grocery store had a land acknowledge back sign that was like a 4x8. And he was saying that he would never shop there again. What a snowflake. Oh my God, how did you put a sign out there? Right, just ridiculous. If you want to come on, we can chat for a second. Otherwise, I'll just tell you the reparations thing. I'll hang out to talk for a second. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off in a minute. But the reparations thing, my thought on it is like, look, you're not going to be able to just give them like some money to fix this. Like giving them like $1,000 each is not going to, that's not going to be restitution for like hundreds of years of oppression. What you'd end up having to do is you'd end up having to have the government like literally investing in Black communities, literally, giving like, stimulus into Black businesses, helping, Black families get homes and houses and that sort of thing. Just like we did after World War II, the government was giving white families lots of money and helping them get mortgages, which a lot of people are not aware of. That was done for white families already. The Homesteaders Act helped white people get their own homes and all this other stuff. It's perfectly reasonable to say the government ought to invest in Black communities, ought to invest in Black businesses, especially because we, bombed and destroyed not only Black Wall Street, but we did this hundreds of times to Black businesses and Black neighborhoods all around the country. Like, if you want to pay restitution, you want to talk about reparations, some of those reparations should be reinvesting in neighborhoods, reinvesting in Black businesses and Black companies. If you're, that frightened over giving direct money, help them get houses. Help them, invest in their neighborhoods, repair, inner city neighborhoods and stuff like that using taxpayer dollars. It doesn't have to happen all at once. You make it like a investment project over time. And then you essentially help restore the community that you destroyed. And if you're like, look, I can tell you from like the Cajun culture, a lot of Cajun culture was just like stomped out by the state. They made a concerted effort to get rid of people who were able to, speak French. They tried to force them to speak English. And then they ended up like when Hurricane Katrina happened, they got scattered around. There was a concerted effort by the English to destroy Cajun culture. And only when it ended up becoming like very like, endangered, then all of a sudden in the more modern era, we want to celebrate Cajun culture. It's not something that you're supposed to be ashamed of anymore. My grandmother would lie and not claim being Cajun because of how people would perceive her. And it was something that was supposed to be like shameful. And now you end up having Louisiana trying to invest in state programs to like keep Cajun language alive, keep the, the Acadian parishes alive, to make sure that that culture is not just like lost and forgotten to time. And I don't see people going and saying, oh, we should not have, you got to get rid of Mardi Gras and no, people shouldn't care about the Cajun culture in Southwest Louisiana. None of that stuff. My grandmother's from Lafayette. That's like the core of the Cajun parishes down there. Not trying to get myself doxxed or anything. These fuckers like, will try and run you off the internet for being like, oh, you're trans. Well, let's dox you and destroy your life or whatever. But, people like Nux can just hang the fuck out for as long as they want to. Let's see. Shane, welcome. Test your mic real quick.
Test 1 2.
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Nice. Yeah, I missed a little bit part of it while you were talking there when I jumped over, but I agree with everything you're saying. It's the colonizer way to destroy brutally a culture and oppress the fuck out of them. And then only after they're either completely wiped out or almost wiped out, then suddenly it's like, oh, geez, it's so unfortunate that this has happened. We got to preserve this culture. And it's like, yeah, you're preserving it in like the most superficial way possible after like you've destroyed the people and fully absorbed them into the, capitalist profit machine. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, and like to some extent, like they made it like illegal to speak French in schools and that sort of thing, and there was a concerted effort to like destroy Cajun culture for a long time, and then only once it's like, oh, there's a lot of tourists, that show up to Mardi Gras and stuff like that, and then there's interest in Louisiana because there's a unique culture down there. Right, there's a unique culture down there, and it's like, yeah, this culture is just dying out because like y'all continuously stomped on these people and tried to like shame them for being who they are. You tried to like take their language from them. Like, they would get hired, like it was more difficult to get decent jobs if you were Cajun. You were kind of seen as like they literally thought of us as like swamp people. Like literally. So it's like, oh, you could be a trapper or you can go hunt raccoons and stuff in the swamp, but they don't want to hire you at the factory that pays like, good paying job or something like that, And like these days, people would think that something like that is very silly or like, well, clearly like, Zoe, you look so white. Like clearly people would not discriminate against you like that. And it's like, you don't have the historical context for what happened. Like there is a lot of shame in my family from where we came from. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud to be Cajun. I like being Cajun. But, my grandparents did not feel the same way. And, they hid a lot of that stuff and tried not to talk about it, except for it's like, well, wait a minute, our last name, the last name of our family, and then like all of our relatives and stuff like that, you're like, why? There's a lot of French names around us, Hispanic names, like, come on, like to say like, I've got Hispanic relatives, I've got Black relatives, like, cousins and stuff like that. If you get our family together, like if we went and had a family reunion on that side of my family, it's like, we'd be going back to Lafayette, Anyway,
sure,
tell me.
It's kind of reminiscent of Irish culture, how like it was like stamped out, but now it's been like commodified into like plastic patties, what they're called, where it's like just pub food and like pubs and certain music and like just aesthetics for tourists. Same thing with Cajun people. It's reminiscent, like just the way the culture was stomped on, and now what's left of it has been commodified to turn into like restaurants and festivals and stuff for tourists.
Oh yeah, I went to the store earlier today and I saw like green. It was like green, purple, and gold, like cupcakes and Mardi Gras themed cupcakes. And I'm not in Louisiana, like I'm not in the South at all. I'm just like they're still selling like Mardi Gras themed stuff here. I know it's also like a Fat Tuesday. It's also like a Catholic thing, But you said you wanted to bring up this guy with the land back stuff. Let's talk about that real quick. And don't forget, people, if you've been enjoying the stream, if you thought what I've said was worthwhile, don't forget to like it. Liking it does help get the stream out to more people, or like maybe more people will see it. But please like it. It does help with engagement. And like, unfortunately, yeah, I'm on YouTube, so engagement is something that I have to ask y'all to do. Please do that. But go ahead and tell me about it.
Like I said in the chat, it started because he was like a mutual friend of ours, actually, not him, but we had the conversation anyway, was like, oh, this grocery store has like a 4x8 sign of a land acknowledgement. And well, I'm never shopping at this grocery store again. And I was like, why? Like, in what universe? Like, why? And basically, his reasons for not liking land acknowledgements. We didn't even talk about land back and stuff. But his reasons for not liking land acknowledgements. Over the course of the conversation, he said that he didn't like it because it confused people, because some people doing a land acknowledgement might accidentally say the wrong thing. Like they might say, "Oh, this land belonged to this tribe," but it's the wrong tribe. But also like it's bad for society because it causes division somehow. And I'm like, how does it cause division when it's true? And then he's like, oh, well, some land acknowledgements are like 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 minutes, an hour. And I'm like, okay, yeah, those would be annoying. Like, that's awful and cringe even. But like, you know, that's a big difference from like a 10, 15-second land acknowledgement at the beginning of a meeting, or, you know, just a plaque saying like, hey, this is whatever land. Like, basically went through, and mostly it was just emotional and it was just political, like brain dead stuff. But he didn't have any good reason for why land acknowledgements were bad, and it was just annoying.
It just sounds like the people that are like in the States, they're like, oh, you shouldn't talk about slavery so much at school. We shouldn't teach this so much because it might make white people feel bad. It just feels like one of those types of things. Like, oh, if we do land acknowledgement, you know, because it's like, oh no, what if it's the wrong tribe? It's like, no, get out of here. You're basically just saying that it makes you feel bad that this is being talked about, which like, it's fine just to like, okay, I want to be honest with you. I don't understand why people say stuff like this. Like, oh no, like the white guilt association with slavery. You know what I mean? Like, it's not white guilt to admit that the country had some messed up history. And like, yeah, we've come a long way since then. It's good that we've come this far. We need to keep going and keep making things better for everyone. It's fine to remember the bad things and acknowledge them. The land acknowledgement is fine. It's not harming anyone. Now, if you're like, I'm opposed to taking 5 or 10 minutes out for a meeting because I hate meetings, and now I have to sit here for an extra 5 minutes to talk about commemorate the land or whatever, like, that's just, you know, obviously you're having issues with not liking meetings. But to keep, if you only signal out like, I don't like the land back acknowledgements, it's like, what's wrong with land back? Like, you can acknowledge the land back stuff. It doesn't hurt you at all. And Canada, just like the United States, has plenty of land, I'm sure, that could be returned back to native populations.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk much about land back, but it's funny because he actually did talk about like as we were chatting, he was on Reddit and he looked up and he was like, oh, here's some students complaining about how like sometimes land back, like a teacher will take like 20 minutes at the beginning of a class just going on like tangent about like land back and stuff, and it's like this is the white professor going on and on and on about like indigenous rights and indigenous history and stuff. And like sometimes it happens in 3 different lectures, so it's like I'm spending an hour of my day listening to these land back acknowledgements from white professors. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. And like, there's no doubt I don't believe that that's an everyday thing, but that would be annoying. And I personally find land acknowledgements a little bit cringe. But mostly because like, I think a lot of people that do them are just doing them out of ritual and aren't really like serious about addressing indigenous inequality. So it's virtue signaling without any real intention of helping. And there's examples of that. And one of the examples that we gave, and even on Reddit, there was one guy who's like, I'm indigenous and it pisses me off that people do land acknowledgements, but then when it's like our reservation still doesn't have clean drinking water, no one's lifting a finger to help. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Because earlier in the conversation, that was literally an example I gave. But that's kind of a, like, to criticize a land acknowledgement from the left and saying, okay, that's a nice start, but that's just the aesthetics. We actually have to do something. That's fair. But he's criticizing it from the right and being like, oh, I just think it's bad for the country because kids might feel bad. And I'm like, yeah, but like if a kid feels bad because like, and he was like, even kids coming from like Ukraine or other countries might come to Canada and then feel like they don't belong because there's this land acknowledgement. And I'm like, okay, well, that's frankly their issue, because like if a teacher is like, hey, we're going to acknowledge that this land used to belong to this other people, like that's just the facts, and facts don't care about your feelings. And then he was like, okay, yeah, but like I don't think we can just say, oh, like just dismiss that kids might feel bad about it. And I'm like, okay, but like there's nothing inaccurate. And then he thought he had a smoking gun because he was reading this article where he was like, somebody was like criticizing land acknowledgements, and he's like, some land is in Canada, some land is unceded, and then some land is considered treaty land. So this person's like, oh, we always talk about all this unceded land, but the truth is that in this province, it is ceded land under Treaty 1. And then in my province, in my city, and in the surrounding area, it actually was ceded by this treaty in like 18 whatever. So, and I'm like, okay, but where's the inaccuracy? Because if someone in his city said this is unceded land, that would be inaccurate. But like we already talked about, huge swaths of the country were unceded land, meaning like white people's colonizers, the state just took them from indigenous people. Like, where's the inaccuracy? And he kept on like jumping back and forth, and he just never admitted that there was no inaccuracy, even though this guy's like, land backs are inaccurate. And I'm like, well, in that article, there was no inaccuracy. He's like, well, do you think that sometimes people might actually say it wrong? I'm like, sure, individual people can say things wrong all the time. Then you just correct them. And he's like, yeah, but then it's confusing people. And I'm like, tough. Who cares? Like, that's not hurting society that people are a little bit confused because they're ignorant about like the history. Because and then sorry, I know I'm going on and on. This is the last thing I'll say. He also tried to say that like it's inaccurate to say that like this area is on Treaty 7 land. He's like, it's not Treaty 7 land, it's Crown land. Like, I wouldn't say this is like the Smith's house in the house that I own. Like, it's my house now. And I'm like, yeah, but it's both. It's Crown land, meaning it's owned by the government of Canada. But the reason it's owned by the government of Canada is because of Treaty 7. So it's kind of like it's not like you honoring the previous owner of your house. It's more like you saying, hey, this is my house because here's the bill of sale that transferred ownership from this to that. So the bill of sale is why it's my house. So, but if you name the bill of sale, like, you know, the Smith bill, then you could say, this is the Smith bill house, which makes it my house. Like, that's the analogy here. And if you like, that's what it's being referred to. And if this land is Crown land, it's owned by the government of Canada because of Treaty 7 or Treaty 1 or Treaty whatever, then like that's accurate. How is that inaccurate to say? And he was like harping on that for a while. And I just kept coming back to like, no, it's Crown land now because of Treaty 1. So it is Treaty 1 land, which means it's Crown land because of the authority of Treaty 1. Like, where's the inaccuracy? And he just had nothing.
It just seems like at that point, you're just looking for something to complain about. And the whole like, oh, what if a Ukrainian person comes over here and is like confused? It's like, well, that would be on them to learn the history of the local area. Or they're being educated by hearing what you're talking about. I just want to touch real quick on the idea of like an indigenous person saying like, I don't like it because, you know, this is a virtue signal and we still need water or whatever. It's like, well, yeah, but that's why you would want to couple those things together, is to do the land acknowledgement and then roll in the like, and these people need water. These people need clean water. Like, I want to make you aware of this land and that it's tribal land. And now here's a problem that this tribe currently has that we can actually help to fix or something like that. That's what I would do with something like that. Otherwise, it's like, why, you know, you're just bringing it up to say, I'm acknowledging this, but you're not acknowledging the people that are there or what's going on with them. Similar to where if I said like, hey, there's Cajun people in Louisiana, you know, but then I don't point out that like, yeah, these communities were decimated by Hurricane Katrina. And then later on, they got decimated by another hurricane and got scattered everywhere. And now that area definitely needs help in, you know, in land restitution, in rebuilding. Like, there's a lot of problems that they have in those areas. But like, I'm not doing a fundraiser for it. I'm so far away that like, and I've got such a small platform, it's not going to make a difference, unfortunately. But the local government within Louisiana could definitely do something. And hopefully people in Louisiana that are in that general area are making people aware of what they need so they can get some help. But those are kind of like,
yeah,
those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, as I told him, I view land backs as like fine. They're kind of the bare minimum. And like the good thing about them is that it's like acknowledging and bringing it into the conversation. And bringing into the limelight the brutal history of our country, right? From there, like people that use land back acknowledgements to like feel good and feel like they're cool and feel like they're in, and not and then not do anything else or even work against any sort of indigenous reconciliation, obviously that's a problem. But if people are like, oh, I hate land land acknowledgements because like, you know, these stuck up assholes. Sorry, can I say that?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to. It's YouTube.
Okay. Because these stuck up assholes like just want to like seem virtuous but aren't actually interested in helping. Like obviously that's a problem. I didn't say this to him, but I read an article about this woman that was like there's like on Indigenous Orange Shirt Day, Indigenous Awareness Day, whatever it's called, in Canada. There was like all these people went to like some university in Montreal, and they were going through looking at the Indigenous exhibits and the art stuff and the history stuff. But that same university was in the process of like expanding one of their campuses, and they found like a grave site or of a bunch of Indigenous people, and they were trying to push through and just do the construction. But these Indigenous people were like, "Hey, like, can we excavate this? Can we like have a say in this? Because like, I don't know if it was ceded land or unceded land or whatever." But so there's like 12 people, most of which were Indigenous, like 9 of them were Indigenous, were like protesting this construction outside the university. And while all these people were like wearing orange shirts and going into the university museum and checking all this stuff out. And like, so to me, like that's a good example of where like doing a land acknowledgement, and the university obviously will do a lot to land acknowledgements while stomping on Indigenous rights. That's hypocritical as fuck. And that's awful. And but the solution isn't to be like, therefore land acknowledgements are wrong. The solution is land acknowledgements are fine, but we need to actually like put our money where our mouth is. And if someone and like the problem is conservatives like him and our mutual friend that was complaining about the grocery store, like they don't want to acknowledge the history of Indigenous oppression, because they just want to pretend that like it's our country and we're just living our life and we're doing our thing, and Indigenous people are invisible and out of sight, out of mind, and they're fine. They already get millions of dollars from the government. No, they don't, but whatever. And you know, they're just complaining and they're just lazy and stuff, and we just like should ignore them. And it makes people feel uncomfortable, and you're just trying to divide the country and make us feel bad by like pushing this land acknowledgement stuff on us. And it's just culture war bullshit. And it's like, well, the progressives and the Indigenous people that actually want action, like you are opposed to them, and that's why you're not even willing to have land back. And then the liberals in the middle who are like, yeah, we don't really want to like put our money where their mouth is, but we'll at least do the aesthetics and look cool while we're like doing the land back. And like, it just comes back to my first thing. If you're going to criticize a land back from the left, I think that's valid, because someone doing a land acknowledgement but not doing anything else, or using it as a cudgel in order to prevent other action, that's a problem. But you're criticizing it from the right, and sure, a couple times you'll borrow like the leftist criticism just for the rhetoric, but you don't actually care about that, because you're saying, I'm not going to shop at this grocery store because they have a land acknowledgement. You're not saying I'm going to ask this grocery store to like donate to the reservation that doesn't have clean drinking water after years and years and years. You're not like, you know, pushing for that. You're just saying, I'm not going to shop here because this grocery store dared to quote unquote shove it in my face that
they made me
this
angry.
is treaty whatever land.
Right. It's like they're just being they're virtue signaling. It makes me so mad. I'm never coming back. But no, I appreciate the conversation, and like,
yeah,
it sounds like it was frustrating, but you know, you all got through it, and you've usually got a pretty good head on your shoulders. You know, I'm sure that was like he thought later on, like, well, gee, I wonder why I couldn't like bring up anything to push back. You know, but I've been going for almost 3 hours at this point. It was good talking with you as always, Shane, but I do think I'm going to hop off of here and finish up the evening. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night.